slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 milli on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And after a bit of an extended delay because a bit of issues with the league client, we are finally ready to go tonight here in Titan Conqueror League between a matchup of two teams that have yet to lose a series so far. Hi, I'm Isaac. Joining me tonight is Freedom Potatoes, bringing you the Dorado Gaming Omega versus TMG Demon Hunters matchup this week.
Excited to get into this one. Yeah, 2 undefeated teams. So we are expecting
our last 2 undefeated teams.
Yeah, the only undefeated teams. We're, a decent way into the season, so making it this long without dropping a series is an impressive task, but someone's win streak has got to come to a close here. Do you have any predictions for who's going to come out on top in this matchup?
I'm not being paid by Dorado Zol at all. But I just going to straight away, I might have opinions on this. Mostly because we are in a bit of a unique situation where last week on the second stream, we brought the TMG Demon Hunters versus a Glacial Spectre series, and even though the Demon Hunters obviously being undefeated won the series, I really wasn't all too convinced by their performance against a team that sits at the bottom of the table.
I see. So you're going for Dorado. You thinking a 2-1, 2-0? What's your take?
I think it's probably a 2-1 because even though TMG Demon Hunters didn't necessarily look convincing, their team fighting and like their organization was definitely on points. But I just have a few concerns after last week, specifically with the Demon Hunters. Is a few of their early games may not have gone particularly to plan. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see how that goes down. We should be getting into the draft in just a few short moments. But I mean, even though there is also the counter argument where they did kind of pull out a few abnormal picks in that series, trying to maybe flex their champion pools or experiment with new ideas that they wanted to go for in an environment which they feel like they could get away with doing that and win. Like I do believe Shai Bishan brought out the Vel'Koz support as one of the things that came through. So there's also that flip side to it. Perhaps it could have just been the Demon Hunters going, now's our opportunity to have a time to experiment in a competitive environment. But so we're into bans. Gragas and Mel are going to be taken straight away from these two teams.
Yeah, taking some of the popular mid picks, and I think the Gragas has been kind of a flex pick for these teams. I think I saw some. Oh no, looking at the pools, I don't know if anyone's played at support, but I mean it's a popular flex pick, a very good neutralizing pick in the top lane. So it makes sense Dorado wants to get that off the table. Might telegraph that they're going for some sort of engagey, divey picks. We'll see. But yeah, I was just going to echo your sentiment. I think I lean a little in favor of Dorado in this matchup, just slightly. I'm a bit more familiar with a few of their players. I think Sinja's a really great mid laner, who I think last time I casted him, he might have been subbing for a team last split and pulled out like some surprisingly good performances. I think that's what it was. And so he's a player to watch for me. But we do have a dissenting voice in the form of a Prophet of Tears, the content writer who is predicting in 2-1 in favor of TMG. So it's the jury is still out on how this one's gonna go. But
yeah, I mean I'm pretty sure in Prophet of Tears power rankings these teams are 1 and 2 anyway, respectively. So I mean, regardless of what happened last week, it still makes sense that 2-1's probably going to be the expected result just because of how contested and how highly talented these teams are coming through. But we did get a little bit of an update. It did make sense that the teams were actually on opposite sides of what they were displayed initially because of the bans. That was in the back of my mind. I was wondering why in the world would Dorado Gaming ban away Gragas when they've played it a lot this year on blue side. So in fact, it's going to be the takeover from the Demon Hunters onto a champion that they don't really play, that Dorado Gaming Omega has been a bit fond of. But straight away through the picks, lots of comfort coming straight through between the Caitlyn and the Karma and the Udyr and the Yunara specifically are ones that stuck out to me when I was scouting these teams ahead of time.
The Rumble as a B1 is a very interesting pick to me. I mean, it's not played super often, I would say, in this ELO bracket. A lot of people kind of stick to, engage tanks and things like that. So it's cool to see the Rumble, but yeah, as a blind B1, that is even less common. But the Caitlyn Karma going to be providing a lot of early strength, a lot of lane pressure for TMG's bottom lane. Dorado probably going to be looking a little more to scale with the Yunara pick, and they've got a solid front line over on Dorado's side. It's gonna be giving her a lot of ability to play the fights if she can scale into that late game powerhouse. Now we're banning away some more of the mid lane picks from the side of TMG and adding in a Nautilus for even more CC on the side of Dorado.
Yeah, if anyone gets caught out from the side of TMG Demon Hunters, they won't be allowed to move for a really long time. However, there's one thing I am concerned about with the Dorado Gaming draft at this point, is that they don't necessarily have a lot of damage coming through immediately. While that might not be too much trouble considering what the Demon Hunters have for them, because most of these champions will be able to be burst through relatively quickly. I would look especially as a final mid lane pick for, I mean, Sinja, all of his popular.
That's one of Sinja's signature picks. I don't know if he even has very many games on it in Titan, because it's oftentimes just banned away. A lot of people don't want to play against Sinja's Katarina, so it's been let through here, and there's not a lot of CC on the side of TMG to stop that. It's really going to be on the Wukong, and then on the Victor ultimate to interrupt her ult, I guess. But yeah, there is I would say a major risk of that Katarina taking over this game. I will say for TMG. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
TMG's got a solid range advantage, and if they're able to take control of an area, poke out Dorado, and stop them from making the first move. Wait, why is there a Yumi?
Don't worry. Okay. Don't worry about it. There we go. All right.
I think that's going to be the name of the game for TMG is trying to use this range advantage to seize control over the areas. Chunk out Dorado early. But if anyone's getting caught by the hook from Nautilus, by the Glacial Prism from Sejuani, there's a lot of ways that Dorado can jump on a play and immediately snap things back in their favor.
Especially with how much burst could potentially come out from this Katarina, and it's not a champion that I was necessarily had on my radar, particularly because it's not the most popular and it's generally a bit easier to slow down with CC. But considering TMG Demon Hunters have gone complete damage up until this point, I don't remember the last time I've seen Katarina in an organized environment, and all my eyes are immediately be peeled straight onto Sinja. Maybe a little bit too much. I might overspec into it, but it's definitely one that I am looking forward to. Is should probably be loading in sometime soon, but before that, I mean, the Rumble pick, as you also mentioned, is one that surprised me a little bit because I really didn't see this in Terps's champion pool all too much. Specifically, if I am,
it's in there, but it's definitely not one of the most played. It's like I'm seeing that it's like number 6, so he's got some games on it, but it's yeah, I mean he's going to be playing into the Udyr. We'll see if the Udyr opts to go for more of the kind of tanky or off tank AP-ish build with maxing out Phoenix is probably what I'd expect. But he can also opt into the Tiger stance for more of that single target DPS. I'd imagine that Dorado's comp is going to want just more frontline for the Yanara and just buying time for those two carries to do their thing. So I'd expect the tankier build out of Spoobert on that pick, which Rumble can perform decently into once he's got his Leandries. He's able to shred away MR with those Electro Harpoons, and so he that in isolation that matchup might be pretty good for Terps. But yeah, just the lack of CC on TMG's side is scaring me a little.
It's a bit unorthodox for sure, but I mean, death is the hardest form of CC there is, right?
Yeah.
And they've got plenty of tools to be able to like power through these fights as is. And also on the side of Dorado Gaming Omega with specifically with Team G locking in Caitlyn, it's going to be, I think it might be a little bit difficult for Dorado to be able to find the two main carries of this Team G Demon Hunters lineup between the Victor for Rang and the Caitlyn for Deli, because I mean, Katarina and Yanara, they don't exactly have the most amount of range, and I mean Katarina and maybe can be able to dive in a little bit, has the dashes, but Yanara technically has the one. It just might be a little bit difficult for the carries of Dorado Gaming Omega to really threaten the big prime targets of Team G Demon Hunters, if there's one concern that I have.
I'd have to agree. Yeah, it's going to be tough to get through some of that zone control. I think Dorado has the tools to do it, but you know, if their CC goes wide, if they're not able to pull off the move right from the get-go, and they get chunked out, like it's going to be hard to play these fights. And if they get low, that Wukong can then, you know, set up for a huge AoE combo with the Victor ultimate, with the equalizer from Rumble. If TMG gets to play the fights the way they want to, I think they should be able to seize control pretty easily. I think Dorado's comp thrives in the chaos, and I think they have the tools to, you know, create enough chaos to win the fights. But yeah, I feel like it's really control versus chaos as the name of the game for these two teams.
And as we move on a bit, I mean, we're waiting for might be having a little bit of a while longer as we are waiting to load it. You know what? iCaster cursed us right onto the rift. It was taking a little while, but we finally loaded in. We are finally ready to go for game one between our two undefeated teams here in Titan Conqueror League. And got a little bit of a speed up, a bit of a stutter, but you're good to go. I mean, I don't want to, like I said, focus too hard in on this Katarina, but I mean, we've got a moment. None of these teams are really going for anything at level 1 Freedom Potatoes. So, I mean, what other things are we potentially looking for that might not have covered?
I mean, we can see how these junglers are planning to like path and what lanes they're trying to assist. I'd expect that for TMG, they're really going to try to play around that, you know, that double range bot lane, try to get early push in, try to take some early drakes. While for the side of Dorado, it's a little more open. They might use the Sejuani to also pass down and neutralize that, or maybe they'll try to snowball the Katarina in the mid lane. You know, if you can blow Victor's flash early and come pay him a second visit once the Sedge is level 6 or something, that's a pretty easy formula to build yourselves a bit of a lead and start snowballing the game there.
As we, I mean, we've got a few moments. We'll have something to look forward to the future, but while we're here in the here and now, I mean, how have you been, Freedom Potatoes? What has the day been filled with as we around and come through? So I don't know.
I mean, you know,
how you been, Freedom Potatoes?
I've been good, yeah. You know, just outside of league, just working and using my lunch break to try and do a little scouting for this game, and I'm also coaching one of the other teams in this league. So trying to you know, help do with additional scouting for them as we head into match day. But yeah, I've been good. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a interesting time we have so far. Audio from else. You know what? I need to turn that off. Audio. Okay, I was getting confused for a second because I was hearing things. But it's okay. We're good now. And you know, I've spent most of the days just kind of honestly doing schoolwork and reading hold on, my brain's failing me. My brain is already fried ahead of time because of said work ahead of time. But it was a play. Gosh, darn it.
Might be a gank mid lane here.
We are finally ganked through. It's got someone with I mean, gosh, hold on. I'm looking at my notes to try to figure out the names. Either way, that's going to be First Blood to Sinja from the setup from Alves, who clearly has streamer mode on because it is marked as Sejuani, but that is in fact Alves. I'm through setting up the first kill for Dorado gaining Omega.
That's, yeah, First Blood. I mean, I thought I was going to have to wait a little bit longer for that future to come to fruition, but it's just 3 camps, Raptors into the mid gank, and Victor doesn't even live with the flash. I saw a comment in chat calling him out for ego runes, and I'd kind of be inclined to agree there. I don't really like the first strike in these really volatile lanes. I think it's a lot. I personally prefer to take something like Airy that lets you, you know, trade a bit more heavily instead of the first strike, because unless you can really proc it for free, you're just losing a lot of combat power. And in a lane where you are at risk of death at any moment, you need all the help you can get.
Speaking of combat power, Sinja going to be coming out with a blasting wand as well. Winning this one should have a decent amount more, at least early on, in comparison to Vrang, who, as you mentioned, going for that first strike, might want to Hopefully be able to proc it. Does able to get it there. 10 gold. It's going to be all right. Maybe that'll come up to be a little bit more in terms of the scaling for this Victor coming through, and going to need to be a lot more than what we've seen within the first 4 minutes, though it is, again, only 4.5 minutes now gone.
Yeah, eventually Victor is going to become a big deal, but he's getting fought again by Sinja.
Oh, the stun will come down. I mean, it's an early Victor. Sometimes you get a little bit excited for the things. You see something and the monkey brain activates, and then you realize, oh yeah, back to reality is prey. Speaking of reality, getting a big dose of one in this Caitlyn versus Yunara matchup, especially with the extra range support advantage that the bot lane of TMG Demon Hunters has for them. It's gotten awfully low. Probably has to look to recall, and we'll do so now.
Yeah, that bot lane for TMG is up 13 CS. Not the biggest lead we've ever seen, but it's approaching that 1 kill of gold mark just in the CS, and that plating's probably going to push it over the line. Now Dorado has rotated the Yunara up to top lane. They're probably going to be looking to get a little bit more free farm for her, and also try to play. Oh,
whoa! Hold on, Sinja picking up yet another kill with a little bit of presence assistance from Olves, but not from Olves. Wait, hold on. No, because Olves is a jungler for you know what? It's for
Sunrise.
It's Sunrise. Did I have my names incorrect? I wrote them down. You know what? My notes are all incorrect. It is what it is. Either way, support from the Sejuani comes through and gives him the extra suggestions. Spoopert could be in a little bit of trouble with the gank towards the bottom lane. We'll just run to the safety of his tower, though.
He's able to clear out a decent amount of the wave before getting endangered there, though, so he'll be all right. Might be hard to get XP off of the next wave, as this bot lane might be able to zone him out, but for now, Dorado still up a little bit of gold, down the first Drake, and yeah, going to be looking for these grubs that are spawning in just a minute here. Spoobert tries to interrupt those recalls, doesn't get the karmas backstopped, but Deli is going to have to stick around to collect this wave now. Or actually, no, Terps is just showing up to collect it. Spoobert's still thinking about going for the stop on that recall, but not able to do it.
That'd be a bit of an audacious attempt to be able to stop the recall. And I mean, the option from the Demon Hunters to be able to send that down, I mean, I think they really do want is Caitlyn playing into the Yunara with the amount of range and the amount of pressure that, especially with the BF sword getting completed, will be able to exert on prey.
That BF sword is going to be massive for the side of Delhi, and they've made the swap up, so the potential tempo advantage that Dorado had for these grubs should be nullified now. It's still 20 seconds till they spawn, and yeah, so the Sejuani is also pretty far from this objective. So TMG should be able to set up and potentially have threat here, but Sinja is very strong. We'll see if he takes a fight here.
Olves will try to find his way on to Sinja. We'll be able to just tap him down a little bit, get him down to half HP. Sinja staying around a little bit longer. You're letting Olves arrive, but as you mentioned, grubs have now finally spawned. And the immediate move from the Demon Hunters, with the pressure that Delhi had generated, is to move straight onto the grubs, as the script would have called for.
It's yeah, not necessarily what I expected, given that Dorado made that swap, but they did do the swap very early, which means there was plenty of time to TMG to take control back over the bot wave and reset themselves up top. So they're going to get all of those grubs. I think a lot of that also coming off the back of Sinja getting chunked out by Olves there. Once Katarina's below half HP, going in is kind of a death sentence. Speaking of death,
is here to help out Spoobert. Terp's going to have to flash away, but getting stunned up. That'll be the third kill of the game, going by Dorado gaining Omega.
And I expected TMG to have more of the early gold lead here, but instead they've got the objectives. Dorado is up close to 1,000 gold, but should be narrowing a little bit as TMG is going to get to work on these platings in the top lane. They've got all those grubs, so if they're able to take control in any other lanes, they'll be able to keep chunking those plates out, try to work their way towards getting one of these turrets down, as this range advantage they have in bot is doing a lot of work. But Sinja's thinking about making a play up top here and disrupting that whole plan.
But Olves has snuck into the bush, so this could be a potential 3v3 or potentially even 4 as Sunrise also arriving. We're getting a big brawl setting up for in this bottom lane, but I don't know if...
Did they notice?
Dorado Gaming Omega knows that
the Karma... the World Atlas proc from Karma went onto Olves in the bush, and I'm not sure if Dorado noticed.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see, but the target now is going on to Prey with the Cyclone. Second cast of it will get this ADC very low, and that will be Olves finally getting the kill.
Oop, I'm hearing a cutout from the side of Isaac, so Olves is gonna go down at the end of that play. I'm not sure if you're still here, but yeah, it's a
hold on.
One for one when all is said and done. That Cyclone doing massive amounts of work for the side of TMG, but maybe overplaying their hand a little bit in this fight here, as we're gonna get a replay here. Hi, welcome back.
Here or?
Yeah,
okay.
you're back. You're
nice.
back.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I literally just lost internet connection there for a little bit, but don't know what happened. So yeah, it turns out. Walk me specifically through what happened here, Freedom Potatoes, because everything blacked out for me.
So I mean, Dorado taking that engaged indicates to me they did not know that Olves was there, and even though they have the Nautilus ult, it's Prey going down. You know, a really big kill for the side of TMG, but they kind of keep the play going long enough that those key cooldowns for the support in jungle on Dorado were able to come back up, and Olves trades his life, but I think they'll be reasonably happy to get that kill onto the enemy AD carry. I think Yunara needs to be a big piece of the team fight for Dorado's side, so if they're able to keep her down, keep her from, scaling up into that late game monster, TMG is going to be pretty happy about that.
And they are at this point in time, at least in terms of the bot lane, they have managed to bring the gold deficit back to around 1k, and they are sitting on those 2 objectives, but it does look like they will have to wait a little bit longer for the feats of monster slaying, as it's a argument from Dorado Gaming Omega to this bottom half map to prevent those Drakes from stacking up for a potential soul point.
Yeah, the bot lane from TMG sticking around top, maybe expecting Dorado's bot to match them back up there, but not able to get a ton done into this Udyr. You can just double tap that R button and clear out a good amount of the wave. So not getting a lot of value out of the bot lane being up there. Instead, Dorado gets themselves their first objective of the game. And going to be trying to hold on to those feats of strength. Dorado's already got the feat of warfare, and they're gonna have to do some additional work to get the monster slain or that first turret.
Obviously, they do have the grubs to be able to help out for, but before it gets to their glacial prison, finds its way onto Vrain, grabs a flash away, but the double flash response from Dorado Gaming Omega almost makes this worthwhile for the side of TMG Demon Hunters. Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure why the Sejuani flash there. She was still almost full health. That was like one turret shot and she just bailed, but it's going to be Olves looking for the invade, knowing that there's no flash, no ult on that Sedge, and
you'll get a little bit.
Yeah, he'll get the big raptor and walk away. So nice, a little bit of income for the Wukong. He's got himself a nice amount of CS up, but not as much kill participation as the Sejuani, who's been making a lot of early plays in this first game here.
Yeah, Sunrise, I mean, even all the way at level 3, obviously we generally assume that it's that level 6 mark that is where a lot of the game potential comes through for the Sejuani, but I mean, Sunrise has been making it work even without the relatively easy-ish CC landing. But still, TMG Demon Hunters, with all these plates that they've managed to get with this lead Delhi has basically brought the gold back within a negligible difference.
Pretty negligible here, as Olves is looking for a dive down bot.
A little bit more, but it's an early hook from Nella, which will get a few tower shots down onto Shy Vision, but the snare finds its way down onto this Nautilus, who is eventually killed, but the response TP from Syndra arrives. That's going to be 2 kills being traded back for Dorado Gaming Omega.
And that's the power of the Katarina. There's not much CC on the side of TMG, so when she shows up, she can just kill whoever she wants. So yeah, you get to look again here at Nella getting chunked under his own turret, but they have to commit a lot to it, and yeah. That Katarina does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
The Cyclone is a little late from Alves there, I think. He didn't immediately interrupt that that ultimate from Katarina. So it's yeah, Sinja now at 3-0-1, sitting on a lot of gold. So once he gets this recall off, he should be coming back even stronger. Hextech alternator in pocket here. Gonna add a little bit more of that front-loaded burst. We'll see if that turns into a Shadow Flame. It would be my most likely guess here, unless he's trying to go for some target access. You know, it could be a Storm Surge, but I feel like that's a bit more risky of a purchase.
Purchases, they also have access to the Dark Seal, and they're starting to get a few bit of stacks on it. Slurkle will find its way down onto Alves. He just has to hop away and then flash from a collapsing Spoobert. So early on, the jungler has to hightail it out of here with the side of TMG Demon Hunters. And that will almost certainly be the Herald going the way of Dorado Gaming Omega, but doesn't look like the Demon Hunters want to give up on this just yet, especially as Spoobert immediately teleported out to the bot lane. But even with that, TMGH not quite finding the engage they want.
Yeah, TMG a little late to the play, at least as far as being grouped as 5. Virang actually teleported in there, you know, and just basically walks in, throws down 1E, and then has to reevaluate what's going on because the Herald's already gone down at that point. And so now TMG burned 2 TPs kind of for nothing. You know, Spoober just, as soon as that Herald goes down, he TPs away, gets the wave in, gets himself a nice bit of tempo on this reset here, and is going to, you know, be back to lane by the time Terps gets this wave in. So I think smartly recognizing that they had a bit of a lead in the tempo department there to just maximize his own income and keep the pressure on. But yeah, objectives now at 2 apiece. That whoever gets this next dragon or potentially the Otacon is going to claim that feat, as TMG does have the first turret. So it's going to be, yeah, that'll decide who gets those shiny upgraded boots in game number 1.
Yep, TMG Demon Hunters only 1 objective away from that point. But you mentioned of Spoobert. He's also able to walk back to lane with the Spirit Visage, and so long as he is going into Terps specifically, I feel like this Udyr is going to be basically unkillable.
He doesn't do a lot of damage with this build, but he takes a while to go down, and even if he's just slapping a few autos down to stun people, that'll be big. And this Dragon's looking uncontested right now from the side of TMG. They're maybe just going to find out that Dorado's on it. Oh, actually, I think Terps used the ultimate there to chunk out Sinja, but...
Did use the Equalizer, and since Sinja is only half HP, I had to figure that's where it went on to, as you mentioned. It's going to be a relatively uncontested Drake for the side of Dorado Gaming Omega, and so the next one will be, in fact, that big one for the feats.
It's no, the feats are already claimed by the side of Dorado because they also got the Herald.
The Rift Herald, yeah. Oh. Wait, hold on, we get to that. The Glacial Prison finds its way down onto Delhi, who gets bursted down from the rest of Dorado Gaming Omega, giving that kill over to Prey.
And it looks like Alves and Virang, I don't actually know how you're supposed to say that name, but they used 2 ultimates top on Spoobert, and he just walked away. Does not care on this Udyr. That's not who you want to be trying to make plays on. You want to try to get, you know, the shutdown on this Katarina, keep the Yunara behind. I don't think Udyr is the one to go for here, but yeah, Dorado continuing to extend this lead, grabbing themselves these feats, getting yet another kill in mid lane. And, you know, I'd expected TMG to really control the Drakes early on, and I think their game plan was looking really solid to start out. With, you know, they got the first Drake and the Grubs, but they you know, on the swap back, things got a little clunky. And then, of course, we had that massive teleport play from Sinja to get those kills bought. And from there, it's been looking, you know, all Dorado in the past couple minutes. TMG still very much in it, but I think it's going to be a lot harder to play the game the way they'd originally wanted to.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, TMG Demon Hunters, they have a bunch of damage available to them if they're left completely alone to be able to free hit. But the thing is, I mean, saw Dorado Gaming Omega being able to find their way onto a few of these key members relatively easily. And if TMG Demon Hunters don't really get the option to be able to set up for these objectives or set up around where they want to be, It's a bit difficult for them to actually exert any control over Dorado Gaming.
Sunrise is going to drive the Herald down to bot. It is going to die before it gets to charge, but still going to, show some pressure around his Terps could be in danger now.
Of course, we get a snap away with it from the directed cam as the danger was coming through, but it does look like Terps is all right. And we'll instead just drop the equalizer to be able to clear out the wave, knowing that there's quite a few members of Dorado Gaming around, potentially trying to find them.
And while our screen was away, it looks like Terps also flashed there. So Summoner Spell and Ultimate down on this Rumble. He should be able to teleport back in and collect this next wave if he wants to. But yeah, that's just a tough spot for this Rumble. He hasn't really been able to find anything in this early game. The Udyr is just a strong neutralizing pick. It's pretty hard for Rumble to solo kill him unless Udyr really misplays. And Sinja looking for the kill here.
Will get a decent amount of damage down onto Terps, taking him to half HP. Won't push his luck any further because a lot of his burst was immediately gone, and also the fact that Team G Demon Hunters were lurking in the area trying to collapse onto him.
TMG is showing a lot of presence around this Otacon. Actually, they're going to start it up. They see the Sejuani in their top jungle, so... Ooh.
Yeah, Dredgeline finds its way onto Vrang, who has to flash away immediately, but as you mentioned, they do know that Sunrise in the top half of the map. It doesn't even seem like Dorado Gaming even know that this is started up. They will be able to get confirmation now. Teleports are coming down. They're finally responding, but the Otacon's already so low. 1.5k HP left. Otacon will go the way of Team G Demon Hunters as they pull off the heist of the century, but can they escape? Glacial Person finds its way down onto all the suits, immediately taken down. So the rest of the look of Dorado Gaming is to push forward and isolate Vrang from the rest of his team under this bot lane tier 1 tower, which is certainly going to fall real soon, and Vrang, there's really not much he can do about it. Keep trying his best to try to clear out the wave and walk away, try to get as far away as possible, but finally will eventually be found out by Team Demon Hunters, but Spoobert may have pushed things a little bit too far, but he's so tanky on this Udyr, it doesn't really matter.
Spoobert with the Trick 2G cosplay, just running through the whole team, running through the turret, does not care one bit. And TMG gets the Otacon, but they do lose 3 members and a turret for it. Now, an interesting stat I learned about Otacon at Worlds is I think it has like something like an 88% win rate. So somewhere around 90% win rate for the team that gets it. So it's a very strong objective to have. Even stronger than some of those other objectives, because obviously the team that's winning is usually going to get the bulk of the objectives, but specifically for Otacon, I think that's one that can really swing the game in your favor if you're able to pick it up. Experience, adaptive force, and that passive all add up into a really powerful combination. So that, I think things have been looking pretty rough for TMG, and they are now down 5,000 gold, but that is a bit of a silver lining for them. Delhi, though, might be in trouble with these two looking for him out of that bush down there.
It's actually probably going to be Shy Vision, who sniffs things out, is cautious enough and is wise enough to not fully face check that bush, but all while that was going down, Dorado Gaming now on Soul Point.
Dorado Gaming on Soul Point, and yeah, that's... If they can get that Ocean Soul, I think they're going to be pretty unkillable. TMG has damage, but it's not enough to get through the front line of Dorado, especially once they've got a few more items and that soul completed. So they're going to need to find a way to stop Dorado from getting that soul if they want a chance in this game. But it's just so tough. You can see how hard it is for Shy Vision to get this vision down when there's a Nautilus and Katarina lurking in his jungle, or now the Katarina's moved elsewhere, but there's still so many people on the side of Dorado that can lock down a squishy member like this Karma and just punish you for walking into an unwarded bush.
Also, I just noticed the build of Vrang on this Victor. Before we get to that, no, he's fine. But yeah, this build from Vrang on the Victor, it's one that it's an older code, but I'm not sure it checks out.
Yeah, I'm a relatively avid Victor player. This is one I would not want here. I mean, yes, Dorado's team is short range, but it's also a bit of a more burst heavy build. I think as Victor in this game, I'd be looking more towards the the very popular like Blackfire Leandry, something that's going to give you a bit more sustained damage to try to get through the Sejuani and the Udyr, because this build really only works if you're hitting the Yunara or the Katarina, and Yunara should never be walking up to Victor, unless it's double lift or something. But and the Katarina is going to kill you a lot faster than you kill her, even with this build. So I think it's a bit risky. Speaking of killing,
Speaking of, we're going to get a good display of that, or well, maybe not the perfect display of it, but through that exchange of spells, Vrang definitely taking a larger percentage of his health bar down, and we'll have to recall immediately. Vrang not having the best of times here in game 1, but do have a few short moments to sit back and relax and wait for the Baron to spawn up now, but that will be the main objective in the eyes of these two teams. We still have quite a while for the Soul Points Drake to spawn.
Still 2.5 minutes until that Drake, so yeah, we shouldn't be seeing too much fighting, but Dorado does have a lot of ways to force things, even if there's not an objective up. They're in a position where they could just take a fight just for the heck of it, because they want to exert their power around the map, and I think Shibishin got the Raptor there, actually. I'm not completely sure, but I didn't see the gold go to anyone on Dorado's side, unless I'm just missing that here, and Sinja's lurking out of Rang's vision. Not gonna find him, though.
And so, again, a few moments to just kind of have to ourselves and appreciate the performance that Dorado Gaming have put in so far, especially, I think, Sinja is on the Katarina. I mean, a champion we really don't see necessarily all too much these days. I could say that perhaps Vrang, with the items, maybe a bit suspect, but regardless, I mean, Sinja's done a really good job of putting them in a pretty solid situation.
I'd agree. Sinja has been kind of the driving force here and teaming up excellently with the Sejuani piloted by Sunrai. Because, yeah, I mean, that level 3 gank is really where it all starts. You have the jungler come in, you blow the enemy mid laner's flash, and you get first blood. There's not much more you could ask for as the Katarina in this matchup, because those early levels are when Victor can have the advantage. If he's able to take smart trades, poke out the enemy.
Speaking of Vrang and Sinja, we'll look to go forward down onto the Victor, but it doesn't quite have enough of burst just yet. I feel we may have cursed Sinja a little bit to be able to find his first after the game, and that's a shutdown going into the hands of Delhi.
And Delhi, probably the most solid performer for TMG so far this game. So that's going to be an important place for that gold to go. And yeah, Sinja kind of just walks into like the one piece of CC on TMG, and unfortunately, as the Katarina, that seals your fate pretty quickly if you commit your E, and you don't have a reset, and there's some form of crowd control to slow you down there. Ooh, Spoobert.
Boom, Spoober completely burning through Terps while equally taking no damage in return. Hey, that does not inspire confidence if you're in TMG Demon Hunters. But
no,
speaking of inspiring confidence, a teleport will come through, try to find its way onto Terps. The Equalizer will do a decent amount of slowing, but just not really a lot of damage at this point in time. But the returning damage from Delhi takes a big chunk out of Nella. And now Olaf's having to flash away from an oncoming Swoobert, who does a really surprising amount of damage considering he's a relatively tanky build and takes hardly any in return.
He's just level 16. He's the highest level in this whole game, and so those R's, those unleashed R's are doing a lot of damage. It's the awakened is the term for Udyr. So he's very tanky, and he doesn't need to deal a ton of damage because the team of TMG is very squishy. The base damage alone is enough to open it down.
Prison finds its way down onto Delhi, an absolutely key target for Dorado Gaming to find, which they do. And on the other side of the map, Olves did their best. Oh, they did actually manage to find the steal onto the Drake, so no soul to the way of Dorado of TMG Demon Hunters, but Dorado Gaming still take the fight and move on to the Baron. Dorado
walking away with 3 kills and should also be getting the Baron here. It is the steal from Olves to stall out the soul, but once Dorado has this Baron, I don't know if they're going to be missing the soul too much. They should be able to take down these side lane turrets, try to break the enemy base, and if they're lucky, they can just, well, not lucky really. They might be able to just end off of this if they're able to get a good team fight, because those Baron minions are going to force TMG's hand pretty quickly.
6K up, and with more potential to explode that gold lead even further, as all tier 2 towers are still up for both teams. You have to feel that those will be taken down very quickly. On the side of TMG Demon Hunters, with these Baron empowered minions, the amount of gold that will bring to Dorado Gaming Omega feels like, as you were saying, might just be the thing that pushes this game over the edge and goes the way of Dorado Gaming Omega.
Now, we do have the Bloodletter's Curse completed by Terps on that Rumble. It is going to help him and Victor deal a lot more damage. Between the Void Staff that should be getting completed by Vrain here and that MR Shred, the AP threats for TMG should be able to get through those big health bars on the side of Dorado a little more easily, but it's still so hard to get to make that work. And, ooh, fighting the top side.
I think they're just going to back away from each other. They don't need to push that any further. That just opens up the mid lane a little bit more. Is Nella going to miss a hook, going to pull him a little bit close, but really take all too much damage at this point in time. Not opting for the redemption build as we've seen so often at Worlds, instead going something a bit more traditional with the lock against Iron Solari, with the extra resistances it gives. They're quite all right with just missing that out and taking a few auto attacks from Deli. Of course, Alls now.
Jumped by Spoobert.
Trouble. Blast Cone's OP.
There's
hold on.
Kill off screen.
Yep.
That's a 7-1 Yunara. I mean, she just absolutely deletes those health bars at this point. It was the early lane was a little tough for her. She was down about a kill's worth of CS and 1 plating, but through all the chaos of the mid game, she has gotten quite ahead down there. Prey X just dealing massive damage with all this front line, is getting to play a pretty comfy game here on ADC.
And even with the extra pressure shown to the mid lane from Team G Demon Hunters, that means Spoobert can open up this bot lane, and now with the mid lane tier 3, it seems that there's just little that TMG Demon Hunters can do except for try to hold things out. But they do find a shutdown onto Spoobert, and the Cyclone finds its way down onto 3. Prey is the target for this Wukong, and the Ace of the Hole finds its target! Finds the mark. Nella can't block that shot in time, and so it's full retreat for Dorado Gaming for what seems to be the first time this game, but TMG Demon Hunters strike back in a very solid way.
A little bit of overconfidence from Dorado gives some, major shutdowns over, as we're going to get a replay here of how Spoobert went down. So he was just trying to dive, and I think we're going to get to see the value of that Bloodletter's Curse here. Spoobert's already down low on HP, and his MR is shredded here, which means he's got 3 AP champs hitting him. He does actually die. It still takes a while, but he goes down, and then Alves finds the move on the Prey, and the bullet just curving from Deli here, narrowly not blocked from Nella. It's only 2 kills, but it's going to give TMG another chance at life in this game. It's still a 10,000 gold deficit they're sitting on the precipice of, and the Soul will be spawning in 45 seconds here for Dorado. TMG is going to try to make a stand here, though.
I feel like they kind of have to. As you said, they're 10k gold down. The extra soul point would allow Dorado Gaming to really not have a care in the world for what minimal amount of poke that TMG Demon Hunters have. They'd be able to just heal it right back up. So, I mean, if there is a moment that the Demon Hunters have, it has to be now. But Spoobert, all the while, I mean, all these inhibitors are open. And
I don't know if there's
anyone can definitely contest. And there's nobody here for Team G Demon Hunters. These recalls, I mean, the comms are just going to be telling them to stop the recalls, prevent anything from coming through. Finally, a teleport will be committed by Rank to be able to stop this. Spoobert going to back away, won't try to force the end, but as I mentioned, getting all 3 inhibitors open in the Team G Demon Hunters base.
Yeah, those 3 inhibitors going down is going to make it nearly unplayable for TMG. They do have decent wave clear with this Victor, and they have been sandwiched.
Alves is going to get collapsed on the flash away from Terps, and Alves going to be committed to keep themselves alive just a little bit longer. At the very least, Alves has ways to get into the Dragon Pit to be able to try to steal it away. Was able to do so last time around, but it's going to be a hero play needed for Alves, and the Dragon health is way too high for him to really find a sneak in, and the damage is way too high from Prey to keep him alive long enough to be able to smite that one away.
Dorado just seeking out that Wukong, making sure he has no way in, nowhere that he can play, and just try to use that warrior trickster over the wall and find a steal. They force Alves to run in their face first and just, not know what HP that dragon's at. It was at about 8,000, and yeah, not gonna make a steal happen from that point. As flash in,
and the flash forward from Nella finds its way onto Deli. If there was one member alive that could keep this game going for TMG Demon Hunters, it was going to be Deli onto Caitlyn. But now, as there's no more ADC for the Demon Hunters, the Hunters become the hunted as Dorado Gaming Omega take game one in very convincing fashion.
Very convincing win for Dorado, and it was Sinja driving a lot of that early to mid game, but I think as the game went on, we really got to see the power transfer over to Spoobert on that Udyr and Prey on the Yunara. Sinja still putting out, damage, but not actually as dominant in the late game as I expected. But I mean, that's kind of how Katarina has to play in a lot of these situations. Once you've helped your team snowball that lead a little bit, you can kind of just sit back, wait for the enemy to make a slip up and then jump in once they've burnt those cooldowns.
The damage chart's basically reflecting exactly what you were just saying there, with how much damage was able to come through from Prey X on that Yunara in the late game. And I mean, as you mentioned, that transition of power from Sinja to the ADC was very efficient, and in general just pretty seamless for Dorado Gaming Omega. And I mean, I don't really know how much there is to elaborate on that, because the game just kind of spoke for itself.
It spoke for itself from the get-go. I mean, that level 3 gank from Sunrai on the Sejuani, I think is a catalyst for everything that went down here. It's control versus chaos, as I said, during draft, and the chaos came very early. It came in droves. It led Dorado to what looked like a pretty easy game number 1 for them.
Yeah, and so with that, we will move on to game number 2. But before we get to that, we will go to a break so we can set everything up for that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be bringing that to you in just a few short moments. And we are back and ready to go for game 2 between Dorado Gaming Omega and TMG Demon Hunters. And after that first game from Dorado Gaming Omega, I feel that the Demon Hunters have to switch up their strategy a little bit coming into game 2.
They've got to switch something up, because after that performance in game number 1, I mean, we both predicted 2-1s, but that was looking like enough momentum to maybe hand a 2-0 over to Dorado. We'll see, though. I mean, it's, you know, it's fearless, so draft's going to be totally different, and that means the game plan's also probably going to be pretty different for both of these teams. A lot of those comfort picks gone. You know, maybe TMG just had the big brain play to let Katarina through. Now they don't have to ban it. Easy peasy. +1 ban the rest of the series.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, a lot of those comfort picks that Dorado Gaming Omega have picked are gone away, and they banned out a lot of the other big ones that came to mind in that first round of bans, whether that have been the Akali was taken away, and the Yone was also taken out of the hands of Sinja. And so in terms of champions that are left, not assuming that the bans stay the same, which obviously they might not, but assuming that they stay relatively the same, Dorado Gaming Omega's pool has gotten just that much smaller, and admittedly they haven't played the widest variety of champions so far up in this season.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like they have a tendency to draft towards certain comps. Like Sinja really likes those, high mobility, aggressive mid laners. There's aspects of their play that I think are somewhat predictable, and if TMG has a better read on that draft this time around, that might be able to help them out a little more. Maybe build a comp that's a little more tailored to their specific opponent. Because in game 1, it felt like they had a comp with a solid identity, but I think the way Dorado's comp was built countered that identity very well.
We'll have to wait and see what changes are made, but I think we should be getting into draft sometime soon. Ah, yes, there we go. So we will be able to get the answers to the questions that we have on what Demon Hunters are going to do to change things up. They have opted to stay on blue side this time around, though.
Interesting that they're choosing to stay on blue. I mean, maybe they don't feel like they have a super potent counter pick potential. Maybe there's something they want to grab first off in this game. A lot of teams I think do value the B1 pick around these parts, but yeah, it didn't seem like it got as much value as they wanted it to last time. I think it was the Wukong that they picked B1, which was a key part of their composition, but just wasn't able to do enough for them in that first game.
We move on, the band staying roughly the same. I've seen around Dorado, TMG Demon Hunters focusing a lot on these solo lanes, taking away Sinja's remaining champions, the ones that they're known for. Meanwhile, for Dorado Gaming Omega, taking away the Mel, which is one that I know TMG Demon Hunters are definitely been used to very good effect between the mid and bot lanes.
It's a pick that gets a lot of value in team fights when people are just grouping up. You kind of just throw your AoE into choke points and win the fight for free. So yeah, and it counters a lot of those aggressive mid laners if you're properly using the reflectability there. So yeah, it's going to be Jax as the B1 for TMG, and it could be a top or jungle pick there, and a Kaisa to answer over on the other side, alongside the Jarvan. So already Dorado showing a lot of the same tendencies as they had in game number 1, a lot of dive potential coming through. With Sunrise able to find a good engage there, Prey can follow right up, and I imagine they're going to be continuing to build a similar identity around those first 2 picks.
But the Tristana response from Team G Demon Hunters is one that I was had on my radar for this TMG team, because alongside that Mel are champions that they can play in either lanes, in either mid or bot lane. But of course, with the Annie getting locked in, that's going right down into the hands of Delhi.
That's an interesting pick right there, kind of matching the aggressive mobile style that Dorado's playing and that this Kaisa may want to play. with, something that gets a bit more priority in the early game and play, has some self-peel as well. So I really like the Tristana pickup. It's giving some much needed range, consistent DPS there. And the Annie is paired with it. But now the Cassante answer is going to complicate things. Annie has a very hard time chunking through his HP bar. So it's really going to be on, the Jax and Tristana, at least from what we've seen so far, to deal with him. I think, the Annie can struggle into dive. If she's the one getting jumped on, it's hard for her to play. But if she's making the first move, it's a great answer into some of the squishier members that want to dive like that Kai'Sa. So we'll see what the picks are for Sinja specifically. I'm curious to see what he wants to play into what TMG has shown so far.
So that's coming through, and Aurora will be the option for Sinja. Not one that we've necessarily seen him play so far in this season, but is definitely in line with this style of play that Sinja likes to go for.
Very in line, opens up a lot of, creative flank angles. I think the Jarvan and Aurora are going to be able to do a lot of damage as a combination because they can both just leap over the wall, AoE nuke your team. And so it's going to be the Gnar sent up top lane to answer the Cassante and a Rakan support for TMG. Love the Rakan with the Tristana. He can, he has a lot of mobility to engage for her or to follow up on her engage. But it's going to be answered with a Leona who can kind of just smack him in the face with her shield, stop that mobility from being a major factor if he's getting too aggressive, and has a lot of threat onto TMG's backline as well.
Yeah, and specifically with the Rakan, what Leona does quite good, especially before level 6, is the fact that she can actually stun Rakan out of his grand entrance and prevent the CC from coming down. So as you mentioned, can be used both defensively and offensively. It also sets up the Kai'Sa really well, being able to get the plasma stack early on to be able to follow up, get the damage to Kai'Sa Leona. Definitely a bit of a classic lane that we've seen for many years for that reason.
So what do you make overall of kind of the game plans for the teams here? Who do you think has the edge in draft?
I think I liked TMG's draft much more this time around than in game 1. But I think Dorado Gaming Omega also have a little bit of that ease of execution with just kind of pressing R a lot. And as soon as you press R and then you win. But at the very least, for the side of TMG Demon Hunters, they do have a lot of tools to be able to deal with it, especially if Nars in his Mega form as well gets quite tanky. Can sometimes even be a little bit defensive as well with the CC available. Delhi should be okay, so long as it's not blown up instantly, to be able to get out of the range of the collapsing Dorado Gaming lineup. The only one who might see a ton of trouble if they're caught out would be Vrang on the Annie, but I want to say personally slightly to the side of TMG Demon Hunters, but maybe not so much as we saw in game 1.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I feel like, like you mentioned, the ease of execution for Dorado is there, and so I'd give them a bit of an edge in that department. But I think TMG has good answers. I think for TMG, they're going to need Terps to be able to get ahead and be kind of a threat on side lane. If it gets to a point where Nar is kind of just like evenly matching the Cassante and can't apply pressure, I think that's going to hurt the power of that pick a lot. They kind of want him, dancing around, drawing the members of Dorado up to him so that they can't do that AoE madness onto the squishier members of TMG. But they've got a lot more CC in the TMG comp this time. They've got a lot more kind of counter engage options, the Buster Shot for Tristana to peel for herself, or Khan to help get those threats off of her. But I think TMG still has to walk a slightly narrower path than Dorado does to find the win in this game.
We'll just have to wait and see for that, because we do have the spectator delay to go through to ensure that we don't have any screen peekers. So we are going to send it to a break, but when we come back, we'll be bringing you game 2 between TMG Demon Hunters and Dorado Gaming Omega, so don't go anywhere. Did we do that, or there we go. We are ready to go for game 2 between Dorado Gaming Omega, who are looking to close out the series in a 2-0 style, or the Demon Hunters, who are looking to improve on a bit of a shaky game 1 Freedom Potatoes.
Looking to improve off of what was a pretty dominant performance from Dorado, a bit of a underwhelming performance, we could say, from TMG. But I think they've got a comp this time around that has a lot more answers, can give them a better chance to seize the edge in this second game. Still no one doing anything crazy aggressive, not trying to make the game chaotic from the get-go, because giving over an early kill and blowing your flash trying to get a ward down sometimes isn't worth it.
Oh,
Ooh,
one
but
gold.
Olive's...
It's over, guys. Go next. The 1 gold it's insurmountable.
He's gone fishing.
Yeah. You ever feel like maybe Fisherman Jack should have a buff for the fishing minigame? Like he has a greater chance to catch fish faster? I don't know.
It would make sense. I don't see why we can't have it. I think the things with like the commando skins having 1 damage reduction against Leona passive is in the game, right? So we can have a little bonus fish chance if you're playing Fisherman Jacks. Here's the Angler Jacks. Oh, we get the split screen here, so we're gonna get to watch mid and bottom lane playing this first wave out. So far, no major moves being made, but I expect to see some action once someone hits level 2 down in bottom lane.
Yeah,
these supports can go aggressive.
The grand entrance and the Zenith Blade that will become available between these two. It means we have our eyes up down there, especially as the other 2 lanes probably not going to see as explosive of a potential level 2. We're kind of getting to that point. Level 2's dropping at roughly the same time, so not quite finding much. Grand entrance finds the mark. Of course, right as I say that, the option for Deli will to go forward. The exhaust drops down onto Tristana, but he did get the full proc of his E there to be able to get the reset on the rocket jump.
A lot of value out of that exhaust to tank up the bulk of that Tristana combo. But okay, we're gonna go back to just the normal old view here, and yeah, so far it's Prey and Ella getting a little bit of the edge in the push department, despite that explosive charge from Tristana giving, kind of auto pushing the lane for you. We'll see if these... Oh, actually, there's the engage.
Got the battle dance available to Shy Vision. One of the advantages that Rakan has as an engaged support, despite being a little bit squishier than the other ones, is able to just get away if he's caught out like that.
So Deli's still got the cleanse, and both the combat summoners from the side of Dorado are burnt, which means if a full-on 2v2 breaks out, it could be kind of favorable for TMG, but they're not going to push their luck too much, as they are behind in levels here and need to hit level 3 to stand a chance in that fight now. And Rang is getting kind of chunked out in the mid lane. This Aurora so far having a bit of an edge here, but yeah, gank from Alves coming in here.
That mid range, Alves should be seen, actually will be spotted out by Sunrise specifically, as junglers arriving at the same side of the map. It's a little extra push that's going the way of Dorado Gaming. We'll actually find out. Prey, it's Nella moving a little bit too soon away from his ADC. Prey getting caught out by the rocket jump of Deli and first blood to the Demon Hunters.
Yeah, a little miscoordination on the side of Dorado. It looked like Nella was trying to move to the river. Oh,
going to flash forward, finds a stun with the counter strike onto both Sunrise and Sinja, but they're pretty close to their tower, so really can't find much else after that.
Yeah, that's an ambitious flash from Alves. No follow-up available in the moment because Vrang did not have that stun available. If that's there, then maybe the flash, flash W, or flash Q from Annie gets the kill. And Terps getting the upper hand against Spoober in the early lane here, forcing the recall out and going to try to crash this wave. But it is a cannon wave, which means that's going to take a little extra time, and Spoober should be able to collect the majority of that.
What is important, though, through all of that, you did slightly cover it, is the fact that none of the combat summoners are available to the side of Dorado Gaming Omega. Of course, right as I say that, the barrier comes back up. But importantly, both flashes are available to the bot lane of TMG Demon Hunters, and the amount of setup that Rakan can have for another gank if Alves eventually moves back down to the bottom lane can really start to put this Dorado Gaming bot lane to a point where it just becomes a little bit untenable for them.
There's a BF sword in Delhi's inventory, just like last game. We'll see if they can find more of an advantage out of it this time, because it kind of felt like things slipped away from them heading into the mid game. I'd like to see them play aggressive and push the advantage they've got themselves off that first kill, turn that into a dragon, and kind of blow up the game from there. As Terps continuing to scrap in the top lane.
He's starting to get a pretty decent lead for himself. Hits level 6, but a good path maker from Spoobert ensures that the sun has come down. Will it be enough to survive, though? Yes, it will, as Terps has to flash away, but the boomerang not quite going to tag Spoobert as he flashes away. A lot of low health bars up in the top lane, but no one going down just yet.
It's a much more interactive lane this time. Well, maybe not, doesn't feel that way for Cassante, but certainly he does for now.
No flashes available in the bottom lane, so the option will be to go on to Nella, but gets so many resistances from the Eclipse, ensures that they are out, and so the rest of Dorado Gaming Omega are moving to this bottom lane. Flag drag drops its way down onto all this Between Worlds committed onto this Jax, who is picked up and traded back by Dorado Gaming Omega, looking to find a little bit more, and gets both the flashes out of Delhi and Shy Vision in the escape. Vrang finally roams back down, finds a few low health bars and level 6 available. Summon Tibbers, a potential option, but a few of these targets are just too far out of reach.
And it feels like Vrang just never has stun up at the right moment here. Need to have that charge if you're going to look for the roam play, try to show up flat.
That mega form, Gnar gets Spoobert very low and just Goomba stomps on top of him, doing his best Super Mario impression.
Spoobert Terps hadn't even backed yet. He's still on just the Doran's Blade, so he'd force Spoobert back. Spoobert TP's in, has the cloth armor, and still gets deleted by this Gnar. So Terps going to seize control in a big way here. Has the Sheen and the Phage completed off of that first recall. That is going to hurt for this Cassante, who's, not the invincible Udyr that he was in the previous game. Maybe playing a little too confident in the early game after riding the high from game number 1. But yeah, I mean it's a big roam from Sinja down to the bot lane that we just saw, using the Between Worlds excellently to reposition for that Q and E combo and get himself a little bit of a lead in the mid lane here, but still pretty even overall. 1,000 gold to the side of TMG. And no objectives taken so far. Owl's going to start up the dragon down bot. There's also 10 seconds on these grubs, so those might be traded by the side of Sunrai and Terps. That's lane 1v2.
Will be hit by the Zenith Blade, will be able to just hop away, but takes a decent chunk of damage. That was going to get to the point that I was initially thinking about, was that lane swaps coming through right as the grubs spawn, so it'll more than likely just be the trade there. But the option for Dorado Gaming Omega to get Spoobert away from this Gnar, what do you make of it?
I think that's necessary for Dorado, but this 1v2 isn't the easiest for Cassante either.
He's getting low once again. It's a bit scary. But they know that Jax is there.
But Gnar does have consistent chase potential in a way that Tristana kind of doesn't. When he gets those hyper passive procs, he gets the move speed and can continue chasing you down without committing his main mobility move. Tristana, on the other hand, does have to commit the rocket jump if she wants to really threaten Spoobert here, and that could give him a window to turn things around, with the ultimate or the pathmaker forcing her into turret, something like that. So I think he can still be a little happier into the Tristana, but it doesn't look like he's having the best time, as Vrang finds a nice trade in mid lane. I think the swap is going to be equally important for Prey to get a little bit more farm and try to catch up. He's down about 10 CS, will be nice to be in a lane that has a bit less threat.
But the flash forward from Vrang will find a solo kill. The burst from Tibbers comes through. And or is it Annie in the reverse skin? Either way you call it, it's a solo kill for Vrang.
Ooh, but Sunrai is walking up.
Sunrai should be able to have access to the flag dragon. There's no flash left on this Annie. The smite drops down to get the slow and the extra damage. Sunrai and get that fairly comfortably.
A nice vengeful kill from Vrang. Not happy about the first game and finds the solo kill, but yeah, back's in a bit of a greedy spot. Sunrai gets the kill. Still, it's going to be a lot of farm that was denied to Sinja, as we have even more scrapping up top and maybe down bot as well.
And Sunrise is here to be able to contest this the Scuttle Crab, which is going their way. Olves has arrived in case something happens between these bot lanes, but it doesn't look like either jungler really wants to be the one to make the first move.
No, going in first is a scary prospect here when there's so much CC on both sides, so much burst damage from the AD carries as well. To follow up on that with the Kai'Sa passive or the explosive charge from Tristana, just adding a lot of backloaded damage to those trades. So yeah, they're gonna play for their lives, just try to keep farming, scaling up. I think Jax is gonna be a lot happier about the scaling prospect than Jarvan is. Ooh, wait, Terps.
Yeah, we'll go all out. Spoobert gets this Gnar very low. Can he find the kill before the Megaform? Yes, he does. Spoobert will flip the narrative in this top lane 1v1, but all the while in the bot lane, Nella will opt to go forward, trying to find kill. Will reduce damage with the Eclipse. Quick Swiftness getting used onto Prey, but a bit slow. Deli not going to be able to follow up with the Rocket Jump. Meanwhile, in the top side jungle, Tibbers will be summoned on top of Sunrise, finding the stun counter-strike. Will ensure that they just have to run into Vrang, who picks up his second kill of the game.
Google, show me the definition of instant regret, because I think we might find Sunrise picture in there as he takes the flag and drag forward. But Spoobert, might be caught out now.
Spoobert was the target for Olves and Terps. He's retreating to his tower, but Olves goes forward, tries to find the damage, and it will be given the way over the Terps. But can this tower shot trade it back? And indeed it does.
So that's going to be a 1-for-1 in the top side. Will give Terps some time to kind of collect these waves, and most of Olves' camps are also just coming back up. So he's not going to miss like too much farm for it, but I think that the Jax is going to be a key member of TMG. They need him to be tanky enough to help out on the engage and to get through the tankier members of Dorado. So his death is still going to be a bit of a thorn in the side of TMG, but nevertheless, I like seeing the aggression out of these players. I like seeing Terps up 30 CS this time around. He had a tough time on the Rumble in game number 1, but is feeling himself a lot more on the Gnar now.
Yeah, and it's been not a complete flip of the script, as Dorado Gaming are still keeping up the pace with Team G Demon Hunters, but hold on. Terps looking to solo kill Spoobert, doing a really good job of it as well. Follows with the jump. Pathway going to be used to find the stun back onto Terps, but now mini form from the Terps auto attacks. The third empowered one finally claims Spoobert, as this top lane has been a bit more exciting than kind of expected it to be.
Yeah, Terps making it look easy. They're kind of just gets Mega and walks at Spoobert till he dies. There's not much more to be said than that. It's it's the first item spike, much stronger for the Gnar here. The move speed from the Triforce, letting him dance in and out of the fight. And this should be a second Drake over to the side of TMG, putting them quite close to defeats here. Still going to need one more objective or one of those turrets, because they don't have those grubs, but or they could get the Herald. Herald will be spawning in a minute and a half here, so we'll see if there's any rotations from either team's bot lane to try to make that happen. It looks like there's a rotation onto Terps here, who might be overstaying his welcome. He's backing off, going to take the reset.
Yeah, it'll be all right. Notices that there's no one on the map. Suddenly, Shy Bishan not quite going to find the grand entrance. Probably wouldn't have been able to find too much anyway had that landed, but next thing on the map our eyes can turn to potentially will be this Rift Herald, which would be feats of strength getting confirmed by the Demon Hunters if they can pick it up.
There might be a dive down bot here, but I feel like this is going to be a tough one to pull off. All the summoners are there for Dorado's bot lane. The wave is very thin, and turns out Olves just wants to practice or to proxy, shows his face, and now is going to have to back out. They might actually, no, they're not going to look for him.
No.
But
it would be a bad idea. I mean, Sunrise just a couple blocks away, quick stroll over, and that goes really poorly. So, Olves not really going to go for that, but straight back to the top lane. Spoobert, a decent chunk onto Terps. I don't see too much happening here, though, if we're being completely honest. Of course, as I say that, all out will be committed, and the Gnar also used from Terps, so won't have access to the ultimate for the next few moments.
but that Gnar is on a much shorter cooldown than the All Out, so Terps will have that right back up if there's another major fight, you know, in more than a minute or so, and Bot might be in danger here.
Zenith blade to land, and the ult also missing the mark from Nella, but the damage from Deli finds this gank. It's into a 1-for-1 for now, and Vrang teleports down, gets the stun onto 2, and claims Nella. So a gank gone wrong for the side of Dorado Gaming. Gets an extra kill up for the Demon Hunters.
Yeah, TMG Demon Hunters turn that gank on its head, fighting confidently 2v3. I mean, if not for that exhaust, they probably just win that entirely on their own. As you can see, Prey just gets deleted by that fully charged explosive charge from Tristana, and yeah, I mean, you just gotta be, you know, if you come for the king, you better not miss. As the focus is a little bit split there. Shybishan buys so much time, and a great rocket jump from Deli also, you know, they nearly make it out, by the way. That Rakan was on his way to a vacation, but instead there is the 1 kill traded back by the side of Dorado, but TMG gonna be very happy about how that play went, as they've got themselves a Rift Herald as well, and have those feats completed.
Yeah, and you know, they're going to look to open up the map a little more, get some extra gold for themselves. With that being some, how low this top lane turret is, though, I feel like Terps could probably claim that themselves in the next few moments without any intervention. See, that is a big if, as Sunrise is here. Spoobert is so low, though. Can't really follow that up or set it up. Terps just going to hop away and not really mind.
Yeah, we might have seen a sequel there to the previous Jarvan gank, because I think Terps could have won that 1v2. He had the Gnar, he had Megaform on deck, and Spoobert did not have much health to follow through with, so that could have gone very badly for Dorado if they overcommitted to it. But as it is, they buy a little more time for that turret to live. Spoobert's going to be able to collect this wave, and Terps is going to go back, probably spend a big chunk of cash here to, oh wait, he's actually going to cancel the recall. Maybe he's waiting to finish an item here, because he's gotten a lot of farm and a lot of plates in these past few minutes.
Oh, Pathmaker drops, and the all-out will be committed. Gnar going to have to be used to slow down Spoobert's advance, and so despite how well Terps has generally done in this 1v1, Spoobert's definitely been able to find a few angles onto the Gnar.
And Sinja's forced to blow the between worlds there as Vrang goes aggressive on this Annie. It's, you know, this is a lane where, yeah, whoever's in the lead can be really making the first move and forcing the other side to use their key cooldowns defensively. So with Vrang in the lead, it's a lot harder for Sinja to pilot this Aurora, who's just not that tanky yet.
Like, for a moment there, we could have had a bit of an exchange of blows between Alves and Sunrise, but excuse me, Sunrise still relatively tanky at this point in time. Not superly so, but the 1 or 2 auto attacks from the Jackson won't be able to find that. Finally, Rift Herald will be moved down to this bottom lane, but the side of Dorado Gaming know that the numbers are here in the bottom half of the map. Potentially tried to find something mid, but not quite getting much there.
There should be a fight over this Ocean Drake that has just spawned. The 2 members of TMG are waiting in the wings, but there's no Tibbers for Annie, and that's a key cooldown that they're going to need to blow someone up here. Sunrise is squishy enough that they might be able to do it without, though. We'll see if anyone walks into that bush, or if it's going to, you know, if the play will fizzle out for the time being.
The Tibbers has come back online right as you said that, so will be available to Vrang to be able to use should Dorado Gaming try to contest, which they will do. That's going to be Sunrise absolutely deleted by the side of TMG Demon Hunters. Shybishan just going to go forward with the grand entrance to secure that kill, which means that it's soul points to the way of the Demon Hunters, and Terps with another solo kill up in the top lane, and the tier 1 turret going the way of TMG Demon Hunters. They're feeling golden as a result of that exchange.
TMG Demon Hunters are really hunting for the win in this game as they blow up the map. They get a turret, they get a solo kill top, they catch the enemy jungle, take his camps, take the dragon. There's really, you know, this time around, there is no silver lining for Dorado. It is all TMG in that little sequence there, as they are now on soul point, and they are up 4,500 gold, looking to extend their lead in this game.
Prey, don't step up to this. Okay, for a second it looked like Prey.
Wolves is thinking a bit, but he's fine.
Yeah. I looked for a second there like Prey would have ran up when Olves was waiting in the jungle to collapse on him, but Kai'Sa lives a little bit longer. So that is really a small consolation for how this game has gone, because at just 20 minutes, Dorado Gaming are down 5k gold on the Demon Hunters.
That's a pretty tough position to be in at this point of the game. I think Otacon is probably going to be the objective that really decides things here. Now, we did see an exception to that rule I spoke of last game, where the team that got Otacon lost despite its insane win rate at Worlds, but this time around, I'd have to imagine it's going to be pretty free for TMG to get that unless they throw. And once they have that, should be a pretty clean path for them to secure Soul, secure Baron, close out the game. We'll see if Dorado can disrupt that plan, though. They've got a lot of pick potential with the Jarvan, with the Aurora, with the Leona, so they're going to need to just overload one side of the map, find someone that they can pick. I'm thinking Vrang might be the target here as he's walking into that bush with Sinja in it, but I don't know if there's enough people around. Yeah, there's no one from the side of Dorado to follow through on that, and so he's just going to get the shove and try to make a move somewhere else, maybe.
It is played not much there. The jockey I speak to
I'm hearing a little bit of a lag on your side of the microphone, but yeah, it's weird. It's but yeah, it's gonna be TMG taking control over the. Oh no, he's fading. Yeah, we might have lost. The internet might have gone out again there, but yeah. Luckily, not too much happening here that needs the play-by-play around for. It's just TMG moving around the map in a herd, trying to find a play onto this Otacon. Looks like they might just start it up. Oh, hello.
Okay, we're back. Okay,
We're back.
Nice, awesome. Okay, so they are on Otacon. Cool, got it. I might have come back at a perfect time because Sunrise should be able to arrive in time. Turks will do his best to zone away. Grand Entrance finds way down onto Sunrise, gets him low. Gnar getting committed, trying to find the burst damage down onto the Jarvan with just the top lane and support. Doing a surprise amount. The All Out will try to separate Olves from the rest of the team, but all the while,
yeah. That's very close fight.
The worst time to start coughing, but currently it's 2 for 2. Praise taken very low by Vrang, but bursts down immediately. Shutdown going on to Sinja, and now the rest of the Dorado Gaming Omega try to find their way onto Deli and Terps, but that's not quite enough. The health bars are too big for Team G Demon Hunters. With how low they already are, they tried to push their luck a little bit too far for Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, they're going to give over a few shutdowns there, and we're going to get a replay of this fight. So, I mean, Dorado is just not in position to contest this objective at all. They really have to give it over for free, and that's what leads to Sunrise getting chunked out right at the start of this play. But then in the choke point, Dorado has a surprisingly good time. Yeah, we'll see how this shakes out.
Okay, the jump over. It's a bit hard to tell, but the amount of burst from Sinja on the Between Worlds really what did that. And so yeah, frame just a bit too separated.
Yeah, the Between Worlds is huge from Sinja. Just so much AoE damage out of this champion in a choke. You know, if you hit that into the weirding alongside the twofold hex, it's a huge chunk onto the entire team. And Vrang is also a little late on the TP. He just shows up in the middle of the enemy team, kind of has to split from the rest of his own team, and so he gives over that shutdown on the Annie. But I think TMG is still in a very commanding position here, still retaining that 5,000-ish gold lead and looking for Soul here. Does Sunrise have a path in, though?
Not if Shy Vision has anything to say about it. Will commit the swiftness to stop things. That's going to be Ocean Soul going the way of TMG Demon Hunters. And they look to push down onto Separate Nella, gets that first kill over to Varang, and now the rest of Dorado Gaming Omega are in their sights. It's absolutely free for TMG Demon Hunters as Sinja's the only one left alive.
They're going to turn their sights over to the Baron off the back of an easy soul secure for them. That's going to be the Ocean Soul, just amping their combat power so much, giving additional regen in the fight. There's not a lot of poke on the side of Dorado for them to shrug off, other than what, maybe what Aurora can do from out of stealth, or those Kaisa W's coming through. But yeah, it's just going to be... once again, it's all TMG here. They get the soul, they get the fight, they get a turret while they're doing Baron. So they're going to be resetting with a massive amount of gold here. Got the lead up to about 9,000 now. That's an extra 4K in their pockets from what it was before that sequence there.
Yeah, and it's very quickly going from bad to worse for Dorado Gaming Omega, especially as now Baron in the hands of TMG Demon Hunters, looking to try to find their one last push in. Though we saw that one fight from Dorado Gaming Omega in that choke point. Maybe if they can somehow manage to get TMG Demon Hunters to overcommit like they did previously, just maybe they can find a way back into this one.
Well, it's going to be a lot harder now that Sin just had to blow the weirding, and Olives is also looking here, and there. Oh, Terps.
Oh, but Terps could be the target. Maybe. Nope. He's just going to hop away.
Just going to Goomba stomp his own minion as a way out of there. And yeah, with the Baron, there's a lot easier of a path for TMG to play. They don't have a reason to walk into the enemy jungle except to get maybe a little vision down. So there's no reason for them to be in these choke points. And that's where Dorado's comp has looked the best, when they're able to kind of front to back around that Aurora. But without... Ooh, Deli walks a little too close.
Right,
maybe they don't need the flank. Yeah, maybe they don't need the flank to kill, because Deli get jumped by Prey here.
And so the kill instinct will be dropped by the Kaisa, but Prey immediately deleted the stun from Vrang, preventing that advance. And now the Redemption comes down, finds a kill, and gets another reset on the rocket jump for Deli. So he's never punished in these fights, despite what it looks like.
Meanwhile, Olives is going to get the mid inhibitor. Terps is going to push in the top wave as well. So TMG is just getting even more gold injected into their pockets.
All right, Olives, what can he do with multiple members of Dorado Gaming Omega around? We'll find the stun on the Spoober. It is still full health, commanding so much attention from the Omega team. And he's just going to hop away, not really going to try to push his luck any further. Of course, as I say that, straight back to the top lane tier 3. The Q3 from Spoober gets Olives back down to half HP, but not much else. All the while, Deli's just allowed to push and then take the inhibitor.
Yeah, TMG are just juggling Dorado around the map, but there's a fight here.
Olives, the target of this fight, is successfully claimed by Dorado Gaming Omega, but it's immediately traded back by Terps onto the Jarvan, who flashes forward, gets the Gnar onto 3. A huge moment from this Gnar. It sets up a really easy follow-up from Vrang with the Tibbers dropping his way onto the same 3 members of Dorado Gaming Omega. They're not long for this world. It's a great layering of the CC, and the Demon Hunters send us to game 3.
Really well played by TMG in this second game here, looking for revenge, and I especially from mid and top, I feel like they got the upper hand in this game, and they ran with it all the way through, and what I would say is maybe even more dominant of a victory than game number 1.
Yeah, I frankly, I'd have to agree. I mean, there was not a moment in this game where there's one moment in this game in which TMG Demon Hunters looked like they were starting to slip up a little bit, but by the time that the one fight happened in that choke point in the top half of the red side jungle, went kind of in the favor of Dorado Gaming Omega, it was only minorly their way, and frankly, the game was already too far away from them. That didn't really matter all too much in the end.
It's the Gnar for Terps in particular that really stood out to me this game. I mean, he was just bullying the Cassante. I think many top laners hate going against Cassante because he's just, he's a champion that is tanky, does tons of damage, has a ton of CC. But the Gnar, such a good answer, especially in this game. Outside of that one little oopsie, Terps just had his number the whole time and finished things off with a bang, the flash Gnar into the wall as TMG makes their way into the enemy base and wins the game. So I've really got to shout out Terps there. You know, maybe it's an easy matchup, but I thought he played it great. And Vrang, I mean, really the whole TMG roster, I think having a stellar game number 2. You know, deathless Tristana game for Delhi, living on slivers of HP with that rocket jump left and right. Vrang finding plenty of solo kills, flash engages for his team, and just, you know, even when dead, Tibber's doing plenty of work in those fights. So it's great game all around by TMG. It's going to be exciting to see who gets the upper hand in game number 3. I hope it's closer than either of these games have been.
Yeah, it's a really good comeback performance from TMG Demon Hunters, really showing us how it's done to send us to a game 3, which we will be bringing to you when we come back after the short break, so don't go anywhere. And we are back for what will be the final game between Dorado Gaming Omega and TMG Demon Hunters. And after two very, I guess, mirrored sets of games, leaves us with a bit of curiosity going into game 3, how this one might play out.
Yeah, it's up in the air. I think it's anyone's match to take, but it is all going to come down to this game number 3. We've seen dominance from TMG, we've seen dominance from Dorado, and so I hope we get to see a really back and forth game this time around, because they've shown that they've got the chops. The drafts are going to be even more pinched, so people might not be on their best picks, which is going to send us hopefully into a little more chaos. And yeah, I'm looking forward to a banger game to finish out this series.
Yeah, and both these teams have definitely not been adverse to lots of aggression in these games. And even though the benefactors have been pretty one-sided in the games that we've seen of said aggression, hopefully this time around it's a little bit more even and send us out on a more of an even footing. One of that might turn into a bit of a classic between two teams who are looking to stay undefeated, be the remaining sole undefeated team here in Titan Conqueror League.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's at stake here, right? Is whoever loses that is going to lose that coveted status, and we will be left with a true king amongst all of the teams in the Conqueror League. So it's yeah, stakes are high in this one. Egos are on the line, glory's on the line. I mean, it's no grand finals, but it's the closest thing we've got for a mid-season matchup.
Yeah, it's probably at the biggest matchup of the regular season, except for maybe a final day potential like swing in terms of like seeding or qualifying for playoffs or whatnot. But like up until that those potential situations do play out, this is definitely going to be the biggest one of the season so far. So we're hopefully looking to get into draft in just a few moments. Right on band, we're getting straight away, and I suspect that the band's probably going to stay relatively similar, especially as Dorado Gaming choose to stay on the red side, making it 3 for 3 in terms of side selection this time around.
Is that no ban from TMG, or is that I can't? Maybe that'll be corrected in post. Oh, okay.
No ban for Dorado Gaming. That didn't last 30 seconds.
Okay, there we go. It's yeah, okay, so it's going to be the Gragas once again, taken off the table. Just a frustrating champ to play against. No one likes playing against Gragas top, in my experience. He auto Qs you, phase rushes away. Not very interactive. Get him out of here. So we're seeing those Mel and Aphelios bands sticking around, Yone and probably Akali as well.
And then, wait, who was it, the final band for Dorado Gaming?
Trundle
wait, no,
band.
it's Trundle this time around. Okay, interesting. So, because Akali's a champion that Sinja really likes, I wonder if the choice for TMG Demon Hunters just might be that champion. I don't know how familiar Rang is on it, though. So it's a bit interesting to leave that one open.
It also may have telegraphed to Dorado that TMG wanted an Ornn as a B1. He's a good blind tank top pick, but Dorado answers by banning him away, and that's going to put Olives onto the Xin Zhao. Another great B1. Nothing wrong with that. A Mumu shown as the answer. Now that's a little bit less common of a pick, but really powerful teamfight ult available to him. Does kind of lose the early 1v1 to the Xin Zhao though, so it'll be interesting to see if Olives goes for some sort of invade play in the early game here. Sivir now locked in for Dorado. That's going to be a nice late game insurance policy. Just deals so much AoE damage in the team fight and can have a pretty smooth lane in most matchups. Ferris though, going to try to poke her out. We'll see if that's a lethality or an on-hit Varus. It's adaptable. That's what makes it a really nice pick because you can go either way. And Anivia going to be the mid-lane pickup.
I mean, my eyes immediately went to the Sivir and how it might link up with the Curse of the Sad Mummy. When you press R, and if there's enough people close by all stunned, everything's going to be bouncing between each other. But I mean, Anivia is the bigger elephant in the bird in the room, the big giant ice phoenix. He's coming through, going to be in the hands of Rang.
Yeah, not a lot of people play Anivia. I think she's a bit more niche of a pick, but I love playing her. I love seeing her be picked in these leagues because I think she's a lot of fun to play. She's got a lot of, playmaking potential with the wall. I mean, Sivir's got a lot of speed, but she doesn't have a blink. She doesn't have a jump, so she can't get over that wall. And if Vrain can properly segment these team fights with that wall, it's going to be huge for the side of TMG. It's also a champion that can build Rod of Ages. Seraph's be pretty tanky, can side lane into the Akali pretty well if you don't get behind in the early game, and can kind of just clear waves as well if you need to be on that duty. So I think it offers a lot to the side of TMG here. They've got a lot of engage options. They've got a good mixed damage profile, and Bard is going to be the support pick for the side of Dorado. Trying to capitalize on the immobile carries, get them ulted up, set up the team for a fight. But Poppy can disrupt that with the Keeper's Verdict. So really, really interesting picks back and forth here.
I was going to, rock solid. I don't know, but blind. That's definitely Malphite. Oh, I mean, all right. I mean,
that's
sure.
Singed.
Right.
also not a pick you see every day.
Okay.
I mean, they're really all in on the whole speed thing over on the side of Dorado, but it's an AP top pick, which means it gets some value into Malphite. I was already not fully sold on Malphite blind. It's not like Dorado has a team that's super squishy or super AD heavy. So I was already a little skeptical, and I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen like a Singed Malphite matchup. That's just not one that people find themselves in a lot. But I'd imagine that Singed is going to be pretty happy in that one. He's got a lot more sustained damage. He doesn't really care about Malphite's ult in the 1v1 or in the team fight because he's just really tanky. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like this Malphite's gonna struggle in this game. I'm a little worried for Terps here, but outside of that pick, I do like the comp that TMG has built themselves quite a bit.
Yeah, but I mean, equally, even though like the AP is there for the Singed, I guess there are options to help him like run super fast and like spread the poison around, but there aren't necessarily too many options from the Demon Hunters that I look at that like wants to really run into the Singed, because like rule number one is don't chase Singed, and so the champions that typically work best for Singed to play against are ones that like want to run at you. And there aren't really, like, there's not really like Varus doesn't need to run at you a lot. Neither does Anivia, and there's most of the damage already from the Demon Hunters. So it's a bit of an odd choice for these two top laners to pick the things they did. I look at it, it's just a bit of a head scratcher for me. And I'm just like, I do my best to try to get into the minds of like whoever's drafting these teams, whether it be a coach or like a captain on the team, and like what the thought process is for that. But I can't really come up with it. I'm drawing blanks. I'm drawing blanks for them potatoes.
Yeah, it's I just had to look at the win rate data, and it does suggest that Singed is like favorable into Malphite, but it's far from his worst matchup, at least based on win rate alone. And so yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of speed on the side of Dorado's composition, but those two champs that really rely on speed might struggle into the Anivia. I mean, there's a lot of tools on TMG's side to shut them down. You have the Chains of Corruption from Varus. You have Anivia's Q, her wall, and her ult providing AoE, CC, and zone control. Poppy has the Keeper's Verdict to launch someone out of the fight. So I don't know. It might be tough for TMG to get on, or for Dorado to get onto TMG's backline.
Yeah, and I mean, at the very least, if they do find a way in, there are definitely a few options like the Amumu, the Bandage Toss can find a way, and if somehow they manage to get through the steadfast presence of the Poppy and find their way in, they do have the damage to be able to delete the two members of the Demon Hunters who will be doing damage. But it is definitely looking like it might be a bit of a tough ask for Dorado Omega.
Yeah, I think Scarlet Flowers on the Bard might be really the pick who kind of makes or breaks this game for them. Because if he's getting good value out of the Magical Journeys, if he's getting good value out of the Tempered Fate, that can throw a wrench into how TMG wants to play these fights. You know, he can portal through to find an off angle when Anivia wall comes out. He can stun the carries on TMG who are very immobile. And you know, if the Amumu's there for follow up, if the damage is there for follow up, that's going to be a big win for Dorado. But it's just a champion that, you know, requires some expertise. So I'm curious to see how that goes for Scarlet Flowers down there in the bot lane.
It is one that is quite popular at like higher levels of play, especially highlighted by the likes of Keria. But it's also one, like, from the Rumble we saw earlier in the series, just because it's really popular at like the professional level, and we've seen a lot of it at Worlds. It's one that also equally I haven't really seen in their champion pool in terms of scouting, and so even though generally I like the Bard as a pick, in this very specific situation that we have here, we'll give it I'll reserve my judgments on it.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that, you know, we'll just have to see once we get into the game. I do also think Shy Vision's going to have kind of a tough time on the Poppy down in the bottom lane, playing into these double range matchups where there's not really anyone who's, you know, dashing in on you like the Leona or the Rakan. It's a little harder to do what you want to do as the Poppy. You know, there's a spell shield that stops her from getting heroic charged into the wall. There's just, yeah, not as many opportunities to look for the play. What's up?
Speaking of though, there is a wall and there is a Poppy.
I mean, they should just send the Anivia bot at this point for the synergy. Varus mid, it's playable. So make AP Varus exist.
You throw up the wall, the heroic charge into the wall. I mean, it'd definitely be a fun one to watch. It is a little bit, I think, difficult to kind of organize generally, to time out, especially since Anivia really doesn't want to get into the faces of the enemy team all too much to be able to set that up. But it's a fun interaction when it comes to, or really any sort of terrain creation from any champion, whether that be Anivia or otherwise, like Talia or Azir, for example.
Yeah, it's a combo. Yeah, you can't always get value out of it, but it feels really good when you do it. I feel like if you always try to force that and like oh, this combo is gonna be sick, it doesn't always pan out that way, just because like you know, Poppy's a frontliner and Nivea's range, like you might not actually want to be playing that way. But I bet we get to see that at least once this game.
See it at least once, but in terms of satisfying combos, you know, I personally, for one, have ever since G2 pulled it out in, I think it was like spring or summer split in like 2019-ish, where they used the Sinna W onto a minion combined with Scion as a form of engage. I've been hoping to be able to pull off that side in terms of satisfying combos. Is one that I've been, I don't know, it's just my mind is brought back to it. To come back to the ones that I was like trying to see, but you know, this one might be a little bit easier. I don't even know why I went on that tangent. What was the point I was trying to make? Hold on.
Fun silly combos bot lane. I mean, you can also do, you know, like Syndra Zillion, put a bomb on the minion, throw it at him, boom, free AoE nuke. Like, there's a lot of it.
You see, that one's a lot more fun with Yorick though, because he has his little ghouls that throw the bomb in. Because like the Syndra, like, yeah, you get the one, you can kind of control it. But it's a lot more funny when you see like two different bombs on two different little ghouls like jumping in from off the screen as a delivery service. If we're talking about fun combos that we'll probably never see in an organized environment all too much. But if any amateur team is listening, or if any team in general, not just amateur, if any team is listening, they will get my seal of approval if they pull it out in a competitive game. I can't promise anything else from that, but I can give you at least that.
Yeah, like if you're already locked for playoffs or already eliminated from playoffs, you know, you've got a game that doesn't matter so much, and you just want to have a little fun with it. Hey, you know, come to us. We've got chefs in the kitchen.
Need to cook that up in MS Paint to be able to like send to different teams when they pull out stuff like that. But through all that yapping and nonsense in terms of fun combinations that we might potentially want to see, we are pulled back to the reality of what these two teams have drafted here in Game 3 as we have now loaded onto the Rift for the final time tonight between TMG Demon Hunters and Dorado Gaming Omega. And, well, before we get to that, we're going to have another few moments early on where these two teams aren't really going to push their luck.
And it looks like it is going to be the an on hit or a crit Varus here. Deli opting for the lethal tempo. I think you could make an argument for both builds here because Dorado's comp is very low range, which means if you go poke, you're just going to poke them out and make it hard for them to engage. But Spell Shield, Bartle, a lot of those things make it harder to get value out of that build. And I think they need someone who can kill Spoobert on the Singed. So I do think the more DPS focused build makes a bit more sense to me in this game. As you know, as the enemies come into you, you can just auto attack. You have a lot of peel in the Xin Zhao, the Poppy, things like that to let you keep DPSing once they go in. And Sinja's going to be a little bit late to lane here. Give up some control over the first wave going for that ward.
I mean, you say that, but he arrives back in time to really not miss out much. Going to give the extra info to the side of Dorado Gaming. You actually have that extra vision down, well, on both sides. We'll be able to track the jungler, and you'd have to assume that both teams know that these two junglers are starting on the top half of the map.
That's going to be some crucial information for the top and bot laners. You know, I mean, I wouldn't expect much action out of this lane for a while, but you know, maybe they have to play safe otherwise. But I'd expect these junglers to eventually make their way down bot. Although actually, wait, with Amumu's pathing, he could look top here, but it's a bit of a weird lane to look for a gank in. As Spoobert is just going aggressive on the Singed here.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as Spoobert hits level 3, he's actually recalling. Wait, Sunrise recall.
Not necessarily peak efficiency. He'll be a few seconds behind the Xin Zhao here, which could, I mean, that can be a big deal. If someone's out of play a few seconds before you, if someone's out of crab a few seconds before you, you might just miss your window. Spoobert also going to be taking an early reset here, you know, just using his mana pool to its fullest to crash that wave in and then go back. And he kind of has to play like aggressive on some of these waves because he's got no TP and Terps does. So yeah, good recall is going to be crucial for Spoobert in this matchup early on.
Come back with an amp tone, going to do a little bit more damage. So it's going to be relatively okay, but you're talking about the extra tempo that Alves had. Is here in the bottom half of the map, has arrived, potentially tried to find a cheeky gank down, but was spotted out by that ward, so not going to find much else. Going to use a little bit more time, that extra tempo he had to be able to kind of poke and prod around the bot lane to maybe find something, maybe try to find a lone Sunrise, but push is going the way of Dorado Gaming Omega, so the option now for all is to just recall. And, well, I say that. Oh, there he goes. He's finally recalling, but that's a lot of time used away from all.
Yeah, he's going to get double crabbed here maybe if Sunrise decides to go for that top one. And that's not really what you want as the Xin Zhao, who I think should be able to, you know, just take the 1v1 with the Mumu in this early game. Granted, his team doesn't have priority down in the bottom lane. That Sivir can just nuke the waves when she wants to, but, you know, I'd still want to see, yeah, a bit more aggressive play, I think, out of this Xin Zhao. And Spoobert's gonna get onto the whole proxy business. That's, I mean, it's punishable. He's not very tanky yet. I mean, if Alves decides to go for this, he'll probably just get the execute, honestly.
He could just execute, yeah. Look. Oh, he's going to flash away to ensure that the execute comes through. He gets the full wave. Also gets Alves' flash. So
does trade his own though, but
I mean, yeah. it helps the rest. It helps the rest of the team because now
that's true.
It's a little bit harder for all of us to be able to find a way in on these ganks, as we know Xin Zhao is typically really good at doing, especially early on.
And that's why as Xin Zhao, you really got to nail down the W flash combo instead of the flash W. It makes it a lot less predictable. You know, obviously if someone's expecting it, they can still flash it, but it's a lot harder to do that with split second timing instead of, you know, seeing the full animation come out. So that's my tip for the Xin Zhao players in the chat. I mean, I think it's pretty well known. Not exact. It's not. That's not exactly some forbidden knowledge, though.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you learn the obvious. Sometimes goes awry for some others. I'm trying to think of example for myself in my case. I know there have definitely been a few obvious ones that I've missed in the past, but by the way, because Spoober did see that all of us did come to gank him, he knows that he has to be on the opposite side of the map once again, and knows he really can't be punished this time around for proxying. And so once again, Singed Gaming. Yeah, Singed Gaming. I'm not even going to expand on that.
Terps goes in for the comment. Might have gotten an extra mana flow proc in there as well. And wait a minute. Terps has an amp tome. Is this AP Malphite top we're seeing here? Oh, gank and bot.
Yeah, it comes through, but a good stun drops down onto Nella, who's taken very low. First blood from All's will be claimed. Now flash forward from Shy Bishan sets up the kill for Deli, and now Prey has to try to get away, but Deli also getting very low. The minion auto attacks. He's fine. He's okay, guys. He'll make it out.
We got Spoober in the picture, just chilling by the enemy base, continuing to farm up. And yeah, that gank does not work out the way Dorado wants it to. They don't have that much damage yet. You know, Amumu not level 6 to fully have the fully guaranteed lockdown. And Nella, I think, going through the magical journey just a little bit early, gets turned on by Shy Bishan and blown up immediately. So yeah, big lead over to the side of TMG once again in the early phases of this game.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're able to do what they did last time around, we are getting an update that all the while that happened, Spoober was doing maximum Singed Gaming things, where he picked up 3 waves for himself, is even starting to generate a gold advantage over Terps. Oh, hold on, Vrang in trouble. Perfect execution available. Second cast, if it drops, will get the passive out of Nivea, but Vrang's able to get to the tower in time, so the egg is safe and will not give the gold over to Dorado Gaming Omega.
Deli tries to steal the dragon over the wall, but won't find it. Goes the way of Dorado. So Dorado going to be happy to get that, despite losing the fight in bottom lane. They still, you know, have the first resets, the first moves onto the map, and yeah, Spoobert's got himself a nice bit of farm here. I do think this is a matchup where he can kind of just win the fight in lane. So I don't know how much he's gotten out of the proxy so far. Like, he's getting a lot of guaranteed farm, but I wonder if he'd deny more from Terps by just showing his face. Wait, actually, Terps just kind of beating him a lot more than I expected in the 1v1. Hold on. So AP Malphite is cooking more than I thought it would.
Oh, but Spoober with the tech throws the Malphite onto the grounded the honey. Honestly, it's been so long since I've seen
Super adhesive, I think is the name.
Is that what it's called?
Or mega adhesive. Mega
adhesive sounds right.
Yeah,
it's definitely an apt name for that ability, but mega adhesive. Showing some knowledge on the Singed, as it were.
Yeah, and I mean, Spoobert showing off his knowledge of the tech with that flip. He was getting chunked out pretty hard, but gets the Conqueror stacked up, does a lot of damage to Terps there. And now Swifty's completed for Spoobert is going to make him that much more annoying to catch. We got the teams pretty even here, just about 800 gold up for TMG, and you know they've got 2 kills, really close to getting that first feat of warfare. And the objectives also 1 apiece for these teams. So, you know, pretty even as we approach the 10-minute mark. Nothing has happened to blow up the game yet, but maybe once Terps has that TP back up, he'll be able to look for a play with that, use the Unstoppable Force to get some value in a side lane, and Mega Adhesive going to interrupt the recall from the Malphite here. So he's stuck in lane on not that much HP.
But all the while, Vrang getting stunned up by Sunrise with how much CC is available to the Mumu. Sets up Sinja for a relatively easy kill. That will be the first answer from Dorado Gaming Omega.
First kill of the game for Dorado, and it's an important one. They want this Anivia to be strong. They want her to be a side lane threat. They want her to be a threat onto the enemy backline. And you know, we've seen how destructive Sinja can be when he's ahead on these assassins in game number 1. So if he's able to pull ahead here, I'd be a little worried for TMG. But unlike game number 1, I think Anivia is like a great pick into these assassins. And once there's a, once she's got that Rod of Ages and that Seraph's Embrace completed, I think it's not going to be so easy for Sinja to pull off plays like that.
And obviously let's wait until that happens. But at least at this point in time, Dorado Gaming doing a really good job to claw back the deficit that they were in. All the while, Spoobert, yep, this is singed. I know. I feel like, I don't know how to else to describe that than I need to stop saying Singed Gaming, but I mean Singed really is just one of the champions of League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean he's a particularly silly one. I feel like Singed Gaming just about sums it up, yeah, it's gonna be Dorado now taking a slim gold lead here, just closing the gap that was there. It was 800 gold for TMG not long ago, so. That's actually a significant amount to make up, considering that it was just the one kill that happened. And we should have the next Drake spawning soon here. I don't actually see the timer, but that'll be another point of contention as soon as that's live.
You see what I'm seeing though, Freedom Potatoes?
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing a Malignance on Malphite.
Oh yeah. It's interesting because I don't feel like there's like a super easy target for him to get that ult onto. Ooh. Tempered Fate.
Tempered Fate. Yeah, not going to really hit the mark, but a valiant effort from Nella. But yeah, my eyes, they look at Terps and they go, I kind of understand it, because I mean, if you do a typical like tank build, which usually has a lot of armor for Malphite into Singed, it's going to be basically completely worthless. But if you build magic resist on Terps on this Malphite, also not great. So
I mean, there's triple AP topside for Dorado, so I actually think an MR heavy build wouldn't be too bad, but Olives has jumped on here.
Yeah, but Sunrise does have access to the ults there, starting up. Sunrise has access to the Curse of the Sad Mummy, which does a lot of work, but now Sunrise in a bit of trouble. And if you're going to drop down, Sunrise just in the wrong side of the map, and the Ignite will be the thing to claim the kill, will be the thing to claim the feats of warfare to the side of TMG Demon Hunters. Obviously, would have preferred that to go over to Vrang or Shy Vision, or you know what? They go over Delhi, but it is Shy Vision who picks it up.
Still a kill on. I'm always a fan of the early kills on supports. They have very limited income. If they get that first item before their counterpart, it feels pretty good. So I think TMG will be happy to take that. They'll be happy just to have that feat of warfare claimed. And Terps actually TP'd down to that play, but didn't get to participate at all, which means he just loses a couple waves up top, and a few platings go over to Spoobert, who's going to be a bit of a problem now on the Singed. This AP Malphite, yeah, he doesn't have like a completely obvious target, but also 1v1ing Singed as a tank Malphite, I do think is a losing trade. You kind of just get, chunked out slowly but surely. And Nella
going to use a magical journey, but is still the target of Olives. But Spoobert has arrived, gets the flash out of the enemy jungler, but Prey will collapse down. The Flame King Zipper comes through and buys the time that the rest of Dorado Gaming need, and Prey will make this fight a 2-for-0, going the way of Dorado Gaming Omega.
And Terps not having that TP can't show up to the fight and use that Malignance to get value there. So it's just a 4v5, and that's no good for the side of TMG. They're still doing okay in this game, but they've lost control of the gold lead, and they're gonna go down a little bit in the objectives. Do get first turret though, so I think that's gonna be boots upgraded for them. And yeah, despite all that tempo Spoobert had, it gets a lot of gold, but the boots go TMG's way.
Spoobert, he's looking, he's considering, he's thinking about it to find the flip. All this is moving up to this top side of the map though, so Spoobert, I mean, he's on Sin. Surely he'll be fine if Olives comes through with this game, right? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, he's got no flash, no ghost, no ult, but that's, he's got passive still gives him move speed. Olives is going to be spotted on this ward, and Yeah, and that last fight, Alves also didn't have the Crescent Guard to block that damage with Deli in a lot of trouble here.
Good footwork from Deli, though, to be able to dodge out all the abilities, but can't quite find the way out of the Tempered Fate. And the double stun from Nella ensures that the double kill goes the way of Dorado Gaming Omega. I say double kill, but it is a 1 kill for the Sivir and 1 kill for the Amumu. So not quite that, but still very favorable to Dorado Gaming Omega, especially as Spoobert is able to push Alves off the trade for the Rift Herald.
Yeah, and with no bot lane alive, TMG doesn't feel confident going for that. Ooh.
And that's a good bandage toss, finding its way onto Alves. Sunrai and Sinja will be able to finish off that kill with a perfect execution. Sunrai, though, slowed so much by this Anivia. Can he buy time? He can, but the flip back might eventually come through. Now it finds its way onto Vrang, but the ults will start burning down Sinja. Can he stay alive? Does have access to the egg form, so isn't worried about dying. And Shy Bishan arrives with the hero charge onto a minion to be able to get the kill onto Sunrai, onto Nella.
Vrang playing on the edge with this Anivia, like you said, knows he has the passive up and is just baiting the enemy in the whole time. Sinja has to back off, and Nella pays for it. As yeah, it's gonna be nice for Anivia to approach that 2-item spike. Shy Bishan was the one who got the kill, so he's actually kind of the most fed. The Chains of Corruption from Deli just go a little wide there. Pretty hard to hit that ability at max range. It's if there's no other CC layered with it, it can be challenging to land on an opponent who's not already like running at you. And actually, Prey is up a full item in the bot lane. I see doesn't have boots at all, but
I don't think you really mind if you've got 2 full items completed, though, over your counterparts. Honestly, it's been a bit of a not a quiet performance, but like the gold collection from Prey's definitely been much higher than Deli's. He's only sitting on that Gwyn-Su's. Spoopert now going to try to find Terps, sitting them down to the ground with the Mega Adhesive, just dissuading any sort of potential steal away. Can they find the kill onto this Malphite? Just kind of zooming. Yeah, it's not the greatest magical journey, but Terps is flipped back once again, and just a bit of a silly chase between 2 relatively silly champions.
Yeah, not much going to come out of it. Spoobert disappearing from vision. Terps just going to collect the waves. It looks like Terps is going to be trying to build more tanky now. Ooh, Sinja eats a lot of damage from Vrang here. Still so tough to finish off this Akali. Because she's got so much mobility, she's got a whole lot of health built up, and Alves is getting flipped here.
Flipped back by Spoobert, sent to the ground with the Mega Adhesive. The Crescent Guard will force the 2 members of Dorado Gaming Omega away, but a perfect execution from Sinja is enough to get the damage down onto Alves, and now Vrang has to fully retreat. Luckily, has a lot of slows available as Anivia, so we'll just slowly flap his wings away and get out of there.
That feels very bad for Alves. Trying to get aggressive in the enemy jungle, but finds not just the Akali, but also the Singed, just randomly making his way down there as Shy Bishan gonna chunk out Nella a bit, but is a melee champion and kind of just eats some punishment on the way out of there. So yeah, it's two Drakes up for Dorado. TMG has those upgraded boots, and the gold 3,000 in Dorado's favor right now. That's enough that they can, I think, start taking the upper hand in a lot of these fights, but still going to have to be a little careful about it. Key player for Dorado right now is obviously Sinja, sitting at 5-0, does not want to give over any sort of shutdown, because if he does, I think that's going to lose a lot of the lead that Dorado has, a lot of the pressure he's able to exert on side lane, and with Dragon spawning, Herald summoned up in mid.
Yep, a pretty classic move to be able to draw attention away from the objective pick that's going to come through. It would be soul point to the side of Dorado Gaming if they do manage to find it, but Shelly not going to get the charge down, but they find a strangling Alves, and the Tempered Fate ensures that the follow-up from TMG Demon Hunters isn't found. Shy Bishan, the next target, separated and removed from the map. Dorado Gaming playing this fight perfectly, selecting their targets, separating them from the team of the Demon Hunters. But now Terps comes through onto the back line. The Unstoppable Force finds its way onto multiple members. Double kill finding its way onto Deli. But all the while, Spoobert and Sinja managed to take one back themselves. Spoobert now finds its way onto Terps, is very low. A few auto attacks from Deli, finds its way down. Shutdown getting its way onto Terps, but Sinja gets back over the wall, finds the kill onto Deli. He's looking for a little bit more onto Terps. Already had used that perfect execution from before. Won't quite be able to tag Terps with the shuriken flip, so won't be able to get the rest of the kill.
And it's 4 kills for 3 in favor of Dorado, but I kind of think they could have just taken a free Drake there. And in the end, it feels like they overforced the play a little bit. Now, they do, in the picture-in-picture, they did get a turret. But yeah, we can see here, Olive's playing like he's a tank, but he's not that tanky and has no Crescent Guard. So with that Keeper's Verdict, really nice interrupt with the Tempered Fate as well by Nella. It just, the front line just disintegrates for the side of TMG. And with that, feels like this should have been a free Drake over to the side of Dorado, but instead they opt to chase Vrang, and then Terps and Deli find this big turn onto the jungle support duo here. Much needed gold going into that Varus's pockets, because he's been pretty behind in this game so far, but if he can scale up on this AD threat. Also, just look at the aggressive flash from Deli here. Very cool, but Sinja has a flash of his own and is able to pick up the kill on the back end there.
But if you look at the picture-in-picture and live, Deli immediately starts out the fight with a kill. It's quick transition back the way we see TMG Demon Hunters finding yet another. Deli doing so much damage. Sinja will be able to trade one back down onto the Sin Zhao, but already used the perfect execution. Will find another kill onto Shy Bishop, but finally the Suns come through. No way. Okay, he doesn't make it out. I was about to say it would have been absolutely criminal if he did, but finally the shutdown will go the way of Terps on this AP Malphite, who will hit like a rock, hit like a mountain, and as things go on, he gets more gold available to him.
Prey gonna run through the enemy jungle away. It looks like Varus and Malphite are just gonna do the dragon here. Anivia moves mid to just catch that wave, make sure Sivir can't get any turret out of this. And yeah, I mean, it's Deli starting to hit hard for TMG, being a major player in that fight there. And he was able to get the shutdown on Sinja as well. So I expect him to be even more of a threat once he gets this reset off.
That's interesting. Going for the experimental hex plate. It's the name I was thinking of on the Varus. Interesting. Okay.
It's a somewhat popular build.
I see the vision.
I mean, your goal is to survive the Akali in part here, at least. She's kind of the main dive threat here, so you get a little bit tankier. You also get that reduced ult cooldown, which is really nice for Varus because it's a self-peel tool. It also helps him nuke people. It helps set up the rest of his team. So, if he feels like he's got enough damage, because Varus's base damage is pretty ridiculous, then having a little more access to utility and survivability is really nice for that champ.
Also, the extra attack speed that you get after ult casting, I think could potentially work really well with Varus. Obviously, the Chains of Corruptions do fully stack the blights on the target it hits, and any subsequent targets it moves to. But being able to just drop a few. It's going to be slow. Yeah, no, it's fine. But going back to the hex plate, I think the synergy with the attack speed passive also could really work in Deli's favor if they can fully utilize that and just cycle in a few of those abilities and really start just chunking out these health bars for really insane amounts. But the freaking flip will find its way onto Vrang. Shy Bishan will still have the heroic charge in this troublesome spot for Sinja. Won't quite find the CC. Now the heroic charge comes through, but Sinja's all right. There's no one really nearby for the rest of the TMG Demon Hunters to fall upon, but seeing 3 members, the Otacon will be the option for Dorado Gaming as soon as they see so many members from TMG on the top half of the map. Can Terps do anything about this? The teleport will also be following up from the Anivia, will be grounded when they come back.
They need to go.
Won't take too much damage. The Otacon finally getting smited away by Sunrai, and Dorado Gaming, they just get out.
Kind of would have liked to see the Malphite just ult in there. Otacon shreds resist so much that he would basically get true damage on that ultimate on whoever he hits. And I think his number one goal there for Terps should be to just stall them out, let the team show up, and try to take the fight after. Instead, it's free Otacon over to Dorado, and after they see the overcommit from TMG towards Sinja, and I mean that's going to be a nice amount of power in their back pocket as they get a permanent buff out of it.
Yeah, and I mean, as you said, the Otacon and its win rate at Worlds something in the high 80-ish percentage, if not 90. Obviously, as you mentioned, that did come with the caveat that typically the team that is winning has the Otacon, but looking at the gold values just alone, Dorado Gaming do have the gold advantage as they claim that. So they look to try to run away with this one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not enough of an advantage that I would think they could just do it for free like that. It's really the macro play from Dorado, maybe the misplay from TMG committing so many, 3 members up onto a champion that has several dashes as well as stealth. I mean, it's a hard pick to make happen. At this point, I think you kind of need the Akali to come into you first if you're going to make a kill on her happen. It's a lot harder to force onto her unless she's really, really overextended.
In all that amount of time, Baron is now on the map and is up and available, and also in the bit of a lull we've had, Prey has now completed his 3rd item on the Sivir, which is the infamous points that this champion gets to where she starts really hitting hard.
Yeah, team fights are going to get harder for TMG now that that's completed. There's the extra adaptive force from Otacon as well, and it's just adding up to be a tough nut to crack for the side of TMG. But they've got this Anivia, she's on her 2 items now, going to be working towards is that going to be Shadow Flame? I usually like to see like a maybe. Death cap around here, but we'll see what that ends up going into. There's answers on the side of TMG. Varus has also just bought his 3rd item. It's going to be the Terminus, making him even tankier and amping that DPS a little bit more. So he's even in items as Baron is live now. That should be the major focal point. But as I say that, Dragon also spawning down on the bot side means these teams are going to have their attention split a little bit. If either team overcommits to one side of the map, they might give over a very crucial objective. The soul point could be there for Dorado, but soul point for Baron probably not worth it.
Yeah, and we won't see too much of a hard commit from either side. And with those 2 big objectives on the map, everyone moves towards the midnight and the classic NA round. Move around, but it actually could be Nellicott. We'll use that magical journey to be able to escape. A bit of a difficult champion to catch this Bard, but again, just jockeying for position. Terps trying to potentially find an ult. Being used. The charge from Shybishan finds its way onto Nella, who now has to flash away. Tempered Fate will only hit Spoobert. Sunrise flashing away from Alves, and it's a good yeet away from Shybishan to make this a 5-for-3, but a really good stun drops from Nella, slowing that advance onto Spoobert, so still no blood has been spilled despite all the abilities used. It doesn't look like either team's looking to give up on this fight just yet. Sunrise finds a way in with the bandage toss, but it's immediately deleted by Deli, and a good steadfast presence stops Sinja, but it's not quite enough to stop his damage, but it does keep Deli alive, who still has a lot of health, finds an kill. Deli's so healthy. Deli does so much damage. It's a triple kill for Deli, looking like meat's back on the menus, but Vrang's gone a little bit too far forward themselves. Does have access to the egg. Can it be bursted down before they resurrect? Yes, it can. Prey will be able to trade that one back around, but now the Drake will go the way of TMG Demon Hunters.
3-for-3 on the kill score, and a dragon in TMG's pockets. Gonna favor them a little bit here. I think it's very important for TMG that Prey was not in that fight. Yes, Anivia is a very key player for TMG, but I mean, like you were saying earlier, this 3-item Sivir is going to be most of the DPS on Dorado. So she's stuck catching midwaves against an Anivia, who eventually gets punished for being overextended. But in the short term, I think TMG is very happy about how that played out.
Yeah, and other than Vrang trying to test their luck, which eventually did bring the amount of kills back level, is still very much the way of the Demon Hunters, especially as they got that Drake leaves The solo objective on the map as this Baron, in which immediately both teams start looking towards.
Deli is also just becoming such an issue for Dorado. If he's not killed off, then I think these fights are going to be hard for Dorado to win. I mean, he just does a ton of DPS, and he's got a tanky enough build that it takes a while for him to go down. So with all the peel that TMG has, Dorado's going to need to find some creative angles. And we've seen Sinja, with good angles in this game.
The stun drops onto Nella. What is the magical journey doing there? It's not helping Nella out, I'll give you that much. It's a really good pick from the Demon Hunters, but that magical journey is odd.
We got to see the combo. Poppy stunned Bard off the Anivia wall, and so that helps set up the pick, and we'll see if TMG can convert that into Baron. Akali's still down bot, which means that they might feel confident enough to go for this, but instead Olives is trying to look, doesn't have the Crescent Guard, so if he gets engaged on, might go down pretty fast. And I do have to shout out also the Crescent Guard value in that dragon fight was essential to TMG winning it. Olives was tanking multiple members for quite a while, as they're now going to maybe turn their attention towards the top side again. But yeah, Nella's back up, so not much coming out of that kill.
I mean, it is just the Bard, and Sinja did have access to teleport, so I feel like starting up Baron definitely would have been favorable for TMG Demon Hunters, but also slightly ambitious. Especially with the amount of damage left alive from Dorado Gaming Omega, especially with everyone kind of in the Baron pit, would allow a few of those ricochets to come through, which should be absolutely massive, as Prey is level 17 and at 3.5 items on the Sivir.
Prey tied with Vrang for highest level in the game. Not every day you get to see the ADC be the highest level there. As okay, Terps has also hit 17. It's really just Deli lagging behind the curve a little bit maybe at this point. But Sivir has all that wave clear. She can nuke side waves and get XP for herself very easily. And looks like we're going to see Terps try to group around mid lane. He is spotted on a ward, so that's going to give Spoobert some time to push out the side lane. If Terps has the TP to answer that, that's going to be rough for TMG. So they might want to make something happen faster, because otherwise he's going to have to just walk back down there, and TMG look at the vision control from TMG. They have the whole river warded up. They've got the enemy jungle warded up. They have a solid amount of control over this topside river, as Baron continues to be the focal point of these past few minutes. But it's been a while at this point. I do believe Dragon should be coming back up in the next couple minutes.
And don't quite have a timer on that. It is just over a minute, though. If you take a look at the mini map, you will not see the little objective timer minutes marker pop up. So we still have a little bit until that comes through. But now TMG Demon Hunters are going to test their luck, and they do burn through these objectives very quickly.
Yeah, that on-hit Varus, that Anivia, it's all coming together for them. And Dorado is unaware. Yeah, no response going to come through.
I mean, I knew they took it fast, but damn.
And I think that really just speaks to the control that TMG had in that area. We saw how many wards they had down. Dorado has no idea they're doing it. Or if they did, they opted to just reset and try to get tempo elsewhere on the map. But Baron is not something you want to give over for free. Dorado does have the Sivir, who can clear out these waves and make it challenging to use this as, here's a fight in the bot jungle.
Sunrai is the target, but he is very tanky. We'll have to flash over the wall to get back to his team and get out safely, but no flash onto Deli. Just ignore that flash. Now Tempered Fate will be used defensively to be able to get out, but a good bandage toss finds its way in. Curse of Sad Money finds its way onto multiple members, and now Sinja gets the Varus. All's not long for this world either. Prey will get that one, and now it looks like Vrang is the target, goes golden, but there's nowhere else for him to go. Dorado Gaming
could be the game.
Convincingly win this fight. It very well could be. We're going to go to a replay with the thing live, but I mean, obviously we'll have to see this through, but take us through this team fight.
Yeah, so it's a nice little catch on to Sunray at the start, forcing the flash, but it feels like TMG's kind of forgetting how you want to play around your Baron buff. You want to be buffing the waves and forcing the enemy to take a bad fight with you. Instead, they go into Nella, he burns the Tempered Fate and the flash, and then it's this engage from Amumu, getting a boost from Olive, sends him back in for a massive Curse of the Sad Mummy, and with Deli getting jumped on by Sinja, the fight is immediately over for the side of TMG. They have other members alive, but Deli is the key member. So even though they've got this Baron, even though they have, you know, so much going for them in this moment, it's the pick off the back of that Amumu engage that turns things around. A little bit of overconfidence from TMG. You know, you want to play behind your minions, let them eat the bandage toss, and instead, it's a big fight for Dorado and Soul Point claim now.
Yeah, and yeah, as you mentioned, just a little bit of a blunder from Team G Demon Hunters. In a little bit too impatient with their advantages, and now won't have access to that mid lane inhibitor. Though if there is one that you do want to be missing, it is at the very least in that mid lane. But the Baron that they did really well to force the vision around, to be able to take it without any sort of contest from Dorado Gaming, really goes begging.
So evaluating what's the game plan here, it looks like it should just kind of be a continuation of the lull stay here. You know, Baron's not for 3 minutes, Dragon's not for 4 minutes, and I don't think either team has the tools to just force a turret down. So TMG for now going to be collecting up these waves, going to be, you know, just trying to maintain control, stop anyone on their team from getting picked. But with you know, with Tempered Fate, that can be a tough ask. There's a lot of tools on Dorado, a lot more tools, I would say, on Dorado's side to start a fight than TMG has in a state like this. So, yeah, I think TMG is kind of just going to be waiting for that inhib to come back up and looking to set up around the Baron up top here. If they can get control over River, over the enemy jungle like they had before, I mean, we already see they've got 3 control wards in that area. That should be enough to propel them to securing this objective, but they make a blunder like they did in that last fight, it could all come crashing down in an instant.
Yeah, and with how long these death timers are, any one fight that goes particularly horrible could spell the end of the series for either of these teams. But as you mentioned, we are still just kind of waiting around, have a moment to breathe, have a moment to just chill out and wait for that next objective to spawn with the Baron coming up in 2 minutes now. Early signs of that, you show that Team G Demon Hunters, I mean, they did a really good job of controlling the vision last time around. They've got a few of these control wards set up, and this top side, this top half jungle was a bit dark for Dorado Gaming Omega.
Yeah, they're gonna need a way to move in there and secure additional vision. It's just it's a little tough with, you know, a champion like Bard, who's not as tanky as the Poppy, you know, has the magical journey, but ooh, wait, that wall from Vrang might give Spoobert an in. Okay, Spoobert gets stunned, not going to find any angle on the Anivia here, but Dorado is taking over this bottom side of the map, dropping a lot of vision down there.
Oh, he's going to drop the ghost now, though, going to try to find the pick onto Vrang, just zooming around, trying to find the amount of damage from little poison trail, but what can Vrang do to slow things down? The teleports are coming through. Will you go golden to stop the flip? Now Spoobert, the target of Team G Demon Hunters.
Here come the rest of them.
Mentioned the number 1 rule of League of Legends is don't chase Singed, and Team G Demon Hunters may have just committed the ultimate sin of League of Legends as Alves is killed by Prey. To start out this fight, Deli will find a decent chunk of damage onto Spoobert, but again, it's still the Cinch who's finally stunned up against the wall, but a good Tempered Bait will slow down Team G Demon Hunters. Can Spoobert somehow sneak a way out? No, he cannot. Terps will get the shutdown.
There's still 30 seconds on the Baron, so that's not going to be claimed by TMG, and Anivia has to teleport down to match Sinja's Akali. So now teleport advantage is going to be present for the side of Dorado. This Akali is very scary on the side lane, and it's going to be a challenge to deal with if she's choosing to split push. But you know, with Baron live, I'd expect Sinja to try to look for a TP flank. It's just Dorado doesn't have a lot of great wards for that. So we'll see if TMG is going to look for this Baron or if they're going to try to just set up and deny Dorado the Soul. Because if they commit to that Baron, Soul could be gone by the time they finish.
Yeah, Soul is spawning in 45 seconds. It would be a really big one for Dorado Gaming as well if they could get it. Spoobert would get so much value from it. Even Sunrise, Intra Prey, just about everybody from Dorado Gaming. We really love that extra move speed.
I'd be terrified of Spoobert, yeah.
I mean, yeah, Spoobert, he's going to press R and he's going to run faster than Max Verstappen in his Red Bull. So it's going to be very very scary if Dorado Gaming can claim this, and let's see if Dorado Gaming can utilize this pressure from the soul point, which is spawning up now in 5 seconds. If they could try to maybe force a trade, a singular Cloud's Drake, I don't think would be nearly as impactful as Baron if they can pick it up, which is on the map.
Deli's getting jumped on.
Oh, the flip forward. Deli's jumped on. Deli is removed before Shy Bishan can knock the members of Dorado Gaming away. And plus, Sincho finds way back in anyway. Unstoppable Force dropped on the Akali, not doing all that much damage. Will go golden to survive things out a little bit longer. Sincho got a little bit of a pause, but Sincho finally gets Vrang. And meanwhile, in the jungle, the rest of Dorado Gaming are also doing really well as Spoober gets a kill into Olives. Who cares about the Drake? That'll be game, set, and match for Dorado Gaming Omega.
Yeah, and it's Deli trying to catch the mid wave, the classic ADC conundrum. You know, you want farm, you want mid lane priority first and foremost for objectives, but if the enemy breaks the rules of the game and says, we don't care about the wave, we care about your life, I mean, it's not really breaking the rules of the game at that point. You are just getting got for being overextended, and Terps gonna go down and trying to defend the base. But yeah, the team from TMG was in the river and Deli was on the mid wave. That split gives Dorado the window to take the fight and now take the game.
Yeah, not only the game, but it's also series. And on top of that, Dorado Gaming Omega are now the sole undefeated team in Titan Conqueror League. As a result, we knew it was going to be a all-star matchup between these two teams, and that would come down to the wire. Would be back and forth, in which it was, especially in that final game. But ultimately, Dorado Gaming Omega, as you mentioned, they find Deli just a bit too far forward and will come away with a victory.
Yeah, it's once again Dorado able to thrive in the chaos, create the chaos, find those picks to win the game. You know, when they were playing around, you know, staying grouped, when they were working as a unit, I thought TMG had a lot of potential to win that game. But when they get split apart by, you know, the wedge that Spoobert is able to drive in their team, I mean, I don't even know if it's a wedge. He just popped the ult and flashed in there with Nimbus Cloak, and like that, boom, Deli is gone. Like, that pick is unpredictable. You think he's got to run at you, but he runs really, really fast there. And yeah, it was a back and forth series, especially that last game. That's exactly what I wanted to see. You know, not a one-sided game by any means. Up until that last fight, it could have been anyone's match. And so I gotta shout out Spoobert for finding the angle there. But do you have any pick for MVP of the series as a whole?
As a whole, I think maybe Sinja for the performances in the wins. In game one as well, maybe Sinja. It's a bit of a tough call though. Like, I feel like everybody put in a decent performance. I think you could make an argument for Sinji. You could also make a really strong argument for Prey for just being the strong member, always reliable, even though it wasn't necessarily the most flashy performance, I think, as well. Yeah. Sunrai even found a few good Curse of the Sad Mummies in the mid game throughout this one that really got Dorado Gaming kind of back on track from a few moments that they started losing focus in and around there. I kind of want to give it to Spoobert though, just for picking Singed, you know, like that one alone for actually winning with Singed is that a valid reason for picking Spoobert? Because that's my single-handed reason why Spoobert just clears the rest of the other members.
It's a valid enough reason for me. I mean, yeah, it's an unusual pick. I don't even think this was necessarily like a game where this is, you know, an Omega pick. It kind of, in some games, it's kind of like the Poppy where, you know, you just push W in a team fight. Nothing else matters. You just win with the ground. And I don't think this game was as clear cut as that, but he got a lot of value out of it, especially in that final fight. I do think, for me, maybe Prey would be my MVP pick. I mean, he was very consistent. I think in the wins he was deathless, if I'm not mistaken, for Dorado.
Was definitely in game 3.
Yeah, and I thought game 1 was maybe also, if I recall correctly, but I might be wrong there. We'll check afterwards. Match history, but just a very consistent player. And you know, my pick going into the series is kind of a kind of player to watch with Sinja. Great performances on the Assassins. I think even in the loss, he had a great game on a decent game on Aurora, considering how one-sided things were. He was kind of the reason they were able to win like one fight at least. So a lot of props to Sinja for getting the team into, like, getting them to the winnable points of the game, and Prey for bringing it home. Is kind of, I think they were kind of on double duty there.
I think that's fair. But I think Singed trumps all of that. So what can I say? But anyway, with that, that'll be it from us tonight here in the Titan Conqueror League in what was the pinned matchup of the regular season until any potential playoff ramifications are on the line. So with that, Ivan Isaac alongside me tonight has been Freedom Potatoes, Kira Matosa, and Sherigan working things behind the scenes to give us not only the games, but also those fancy little replays coming through, the screen and picture-in-picture things coming through. And so from everyone at Titan Esports, thank you for being here and have a good night.